Chapter 620. One last. Chapter 620. One last. Yemo, let's go. I already have 200K. I think I can bail my brother out of jail with this, Sue. Wei didn't want to waste the money there. Yemo waved his hand. Wait. This is just the beginning. We need to keep going and buy some more expensive ones. Su Wei hadn't realized that Yemo might be unsatisfied with just that. Brother, you probably want the rock you suggested me. Now, even the middle-aged man looked differently at Yemo. Yemo smiled and shook his head. That one isn't up to my standards. You dash. The man was at a loss for words. He had suggested him something that wasn't up to his own standard. Yemo patted him and smiled. Don't worry. I'm simply saying that the jade inside is worth at most 1 or 2 million. That's not enough for me. Ha! Everyone was dazed this time. He could get 1 or 2 million for 100K, but he still didn't think it was enough. Who did that guy think he was? If he hadn't found jade in discarded rocks, people would be looking down on him again. The woman heard Yemo's words and rolled her eyes. She suddenly said, Since Big Brother isn't satisfied with such a small amount of money, I'll take that rock. Then she signaled the man next to her, who looked like her bodyguard, to buy the rock. Yemo's impression of the woman changed. She hadn't assumed he was bluffing like everyone else, and bought the one he suggested. She wasn't a simple person. Although 100K wasn't much, it was still money, but she actually spent it just because of a stranger's words. She had brains. A few other people were also interested in buying it, but they weren't as fast as the woman, and also feared that Yemo was a fraud. Yemo then said to Huduokai, Follow me. I still have more jade for you to open. Yes, boss. Huduokai could also tell that Yemo was someone who was truly capable. Looking around, Yemo was speechless. Although there were a lot of rocks there, not many contained jade, and much less good quality jade. He pointed at a 200K piece of rock and said, This one has the best jade for the price of 200K. He bought it quickly, and the rock was in Huduotsai's hand again. The middle-aged man lost again, so he started to believe in Yemo's words, and he stopped buying rocks. He decided to follow Yemo instead. Many people started to look favorably at Yemo, and all circulated around him. The woman was also watching them. Yemo saw that Huduokai was cutting it very carefully, so he just drew a line and told him to cut from there. Huduokai followed Yemo's words without hesitation, and he sliced right where Yemo was pointing. A bright and eye-catching green was exposed to everyone's eyes. Yellow-green, that's at least a few millions. When it came out, everyone yelled out in shock. 5 million. I'll take it. People immediately started naming prices. Although the full price might not just be that, Yemo didn't want to keep wasting time. Just when he was about to sell it, the woman said, I'll pay 8 million. Deal. Yemo immediately told Su Wei to give her bank details to the woman. The woman was straightforward and transferred the money immediately. Su Wei was in a daze. She had suddenly gotten 8 million, but Yemo pulled her away. Are we leaving? Su Wei asked. Yemo smiled. There's one more. After this, we'll leave. Yemo looked at a huge rock on the left side. It was the size of a tall man. Its price was 6 million. While Yemo was buying this stone, the woman completely opened the rock Yemo had sold her. She had hit the jackpot. It was at least a few million. Moreover, the one Yemo had given her before had also been opened. It was a jade fetus worth almost 2 million. Everyone gasped for air. Who was that bearded man? How was he that powerful? He had a 100% success rate. Everyone was paying attention to the rock he had bought for 6 million. Also, that young woman had become the second person who had earned the most that day. Su Wei had calmed down a bit, but her heart was still skipping fast. The stone Yemo had bought had been there for almost a year, but because it was too expensive, the boss had lowered it from 10 million to 8 million. Still, no one wanted it, so they lowered the price to 6 million. Finally, someone bought it this time, and it was a legendary rock gambler. More and more people gathered in the square. Among them there were many wealthy men and bosses. They had all heard that there was a legendary happening taking place there. A bearded man had taken a simply dressed girl to bet, and they hadn't lost once. They started with $200, and now their earnings were worth more than 10 millions now. Everyone was waiting to see if the rock contained jade. Everyone wanted to see if the legend would be even more incredible. Huiduokai was also shaking. He had never received that much attention. After this, even if he didn't get paid, there would be a lot of people asking him to open rocks. Under Yimo's guidance, Huiduokai cut the rock in the middle. The crowd was in a frenzy. It was as though the jade was theirs. There was a large piece of green where Huiduokai had cut open. The green was very pleasant to the eye. People had never seen such a luscious green before. It was almost crystal clear. One cut. It had been just one cut, and there it was, a large pack of green. There was no *T, no rubbing. The cut was incredibly clean. It was impossible for Huiduokai to not have become famous. My God, is that emerald? If it's emerald, how much is this big piece worth? But Yimo knew there wasn't much left underneath. He decided not to continue. If he sold it now, he could save money and get a good price. The woman looked at the emerald and gasped. She wanted to buy it, but she knew she didn't have enough money. Due to a limited resource of emerald lately, her finances were in a difficult situation. However, she believed that her business could open up soon with that bearded man's help. Friend, I'll take it for 50 million. A man who had just gotten there named a price without thinking. Boss Sheng, you're taking for yourself such a good thing. I don't think that's appropriate. Another fat man squeezed through the crowd. Okay, old Pan, let's buy it half-half. Although he wanted it all for himself, that thing was too rare, and everyone who was in the same industry there knew each other. He couldn't overstep the boundaries. Chapter 6:21. Fighting to be Friends. Chapter 6:21. Fighting to be Friends, 60 million. If you agree, it's yours. Oh, and give a 100K check to Huiduokai, Yimo said. Although the jade would be getting thinner as the rock was opened, it would still be worth around 70 to 80 million. He just didn't want to waste time. Huiduokai was dazed. He only cut a few slices and got 100K. This was too simple. Deal. Once again, money was added to Su Wei's bank account, and this time it was 60 million. When Yimo pulled Su Wei out from the crowd, Su Wei finally reacted and wanted to give her card to Yimo. Yimo had earned that money. She couldn't take it. Even if she was short on money, she could just borrow some from Yimo. Yimo pushed the card back in her hands and said, Su Wei, I'm clearly pretty capable, right? Su Wei nodded without hesitation. Yimo was like a god. He had won every single time. Seeing this, Yimo smiled. With my capabilities, how could I be short on money? Why would I care about 60 million? To be honest, I'm richer than Bill Gates right now. I have tens of billions readily available. If it were before, Su Wei would think that Yimo was bluffing. But now she knew that Yimo wasn't. Otherwise, how could he win 60 million for her in just 3 hours? But Su Wei understood, but that amount of money was still too much for her. Don't have a mental burden. You paid for the bets, and I was just helping you. You've helped me a lot in Ninghai, so it's normal that I help you too. Yimo comforted her. Su Wei wasn't dumb. Since Yimo was that rich, why did he go through the hassle to use her $200 to bet? He could easily give her tens of millions, but he didn't. He had done it like that precisely, so that she wouldn't have a mental burden. Yimo was about to ask about her mother when that middle-aged man ran over and gave Yimo a golden name card. Brother, you're really amazing. My respect for you is dash. Yimo shivered in cringe and quickly stopped the man from talking. He took the card and realized that the man was called Hu Dan, and he was the CEO of a company. No wonder he was so rich. Hu Dan. This name was really interesting. It sounded like protecting egg in Chinese. Su Wei thought of something and said, "Yemo, can you come with me to the police station? My brother Su Bingwu is still locked up, so I need to bail him out." Hu Dan quickly said, "Is your brother in the city department or some branch department? Also, why did he get locked up?" "He beat someone and didn't have the money to compensate them." "He's locked up in the Yonghai branch," Su Wei said. "Don't worry, I'll make a call." Hu Dan immediately called the police chief of Yonghai department and exchanged a few sentences with him before hanging up. He then looked at the worried Su Wei. "Your brother has been released. As for the compensation, I've told an old friend to help you pay for it. So don't worry." "Ha!" Su Wei reacted quickly and was going to give the money to Hu Dan. Hu Dan waved his hand. "It's just a small favor. Don't worry about it. I didn't listen to your boyfriend before, and I lost indeed. It was my luck to meet someone like your boyfriend." Then Hu Dan turned to Yi Mo and asked, "By the way, brother, do you have a business card?" Su Wei blushed and wanted to start explaining, but she didn't. She actually really wanted to know what Yi Mo's situation was, and whether he was with Ning Qingxue. Hu Dan was a bit desperate. He didn't want to pass by a master like Yi Mo. Yi Mo smiled. "Sorry, brother. Hu, I don't have a name card, but you can just call me Yi Mo. I'll give you my number, but my phone is usually turned off." "No problem. No problem." Hu Dan knew that someone as magical as this must have a lot of rules. It was already very lucky that he could get his number. Hu Dan quickly noted down the number and said, "Brother Yi, how about eating together? It's my treat." Yi Mo didn't mind, as he didn't have anything else to do that day. Just when he wanted to ask Su Wei, another voice interrupted. "Brother Yi, I was hoping to talk to you. Luckily, you haven't left yet. I remembered your number too. I hope you don't mind. I'm Luo Zillian, by the way, and thanks to you, I earned big today. Would I have the honor of eating with you?" Then Luo Zillian also passed a name card over. The name card was very exquisite. Sister Zillian, I've already invited Brother Yi, so how about next time?" Hu Dan quickly said. "Su Wei, what about you?" Yi Mo looked at Su Wei. "I want to go to the hospital to see my mother. I'm worried about her," Su Wei said. Hearing this, Hu Dan immediately said, "Sister Su Wei, which hospital is your mother in? Tell me, I'll get a good room for her right away." "Yonghai District's High Hospital," Su Wei answered subconsciously. "Brother Hu, no need for you to call. I will take care of it. My uncle is the vice director of that hospital." Luo Zillian finally had the chance to show herself. How could she let Hu Dan take it? Thus, she quickly called before Hu Dan could even reply. After she spoke a few words, Su Wei's mother was sent to the VIP room. "How about this? Brother Hu, you arrange a place and go there first, while I'll go with Su Wei to see her mother in the hospital first, and then come later." Yi Mo knew that Su Wei wouldn't feel assured without seeing her mother first. "Okay, I'll wait for you in Tung Wong restaurant." Hu Dan arranged the place before Luo Zillian this time. Luo Zillian rolled her eyes and could only ask for Su Wei's number. Hu Dan couldn't do this, though, because if Su Wei was Yi Mo's girlfriend, that would be inappropriate. Yi Mo knew that Luo Zillian was no simple person. She had come over later not because she found him only then, but because she was making her bodyguard warn those hoodlums who wanted to follow Yi Mo. This Luo Zillian clearly had no simple origin, so those hoodlums didn't dare say anything and left. After the two left and fetched a taxi, Su Wei fell into silence and said, "Yi Mo, thank you for today." Yi Mo smiled. "I already said you don't need to be like that. I feel relieved that I saw you today. I said I would treat you to dinner in the past, but never had the chance to." Su Wei suddenly felt lightened up and smiled. "Then how about I treat you tomorrow? Like that you will owe me twice? and I will feel a sense of accomplishment that way. Yemo smiled. If nothing sudden happens, I will be leaving Jean City tomorrow. Do you miss Sister Ching Shue? Su Wei suddenly asked. Yemo nodded. Yes, very so. I want to go back. Seeing Su Wei fall into silence, Yemo said, I'll go see your mother soon. I can cure most normal diseases. You do? Su Wei looked at Yemo in shock. Yemo nodded. Yes, that time when I was taking a shift for you, I cured an old man named Joie. You've heard about that, right? What, that magical doctor was you? Back then, a magical doctor cured a patient in a lethal condition but was never found again. So that was Yemo. Su Wei got excited. If that had really been Yemo, then her mother would be cured. Of course it was me. Yemo thought of what he had done for mere tens of thousands of dollars and sighed. Stop the car. Su Wei suddenly told the driver to stop and charged out. Su Wei walked up to a bloodied youth, which Yemo guessed had to be her brother. Wasn't he just released? Why was he fighting again? Yemo left behind $100 and quickly followed. Chapter 622. Don't want to be cheated? Chapter 622. Don't want to be cheated. Yemo saw they were at the gate of the Jing City University, and he could guess it was where her brother was studying. Xiao Wu, why are you fighting someone again? Su Wei went to help Su Bingwu, who was covered in blood. Get up. The young man said hatefully. I wasn't fighting. When he saw Yemo approaching, he stopped speaking. Yemo examined the young man. He only had external injuries. They looked serious, but they were no big deal. There was a lot of blood because his forehead was bleeding. Yemo, this is my brother, Su Bingwu. Su Wei, this is my friend. You can call him Brother Yi. Su Wei was very soft when speaking with Yemo, but she talked very seriously to her brother. At the same time she spoke, she took out a piece of cloth to cover the young man's head. Su Bingwu studied Yemo, who really didn't look good. He frowned and glanced at Su Wei before forcing himself to utter a Brother Yi. He seemed to be scared of Su Wei. What's going on? Su Wei asked. Su Bingwu hesitated before saying, I was just released from the police station and wanted to come to university because I was worried about Mom. On the way, I met a classmate. She saw me walking, so she told me to get on and drove me here. Mom is in the hospital. Why did you come to university? And since your classmate brought you here, how did you even start fighting? Su Wei reproached. Su Bingwu looked down and said, I have some money in my room. I wanted to buy some bones and make a soup for Mom. And, sister, I don't want to keep studying. I want to find a job. When Su Wei heard this, her eyes turned red. She patted Su Bingwu's head and said, I will take care of Mum's things. You're not allowed to say such words again. Study hard. Don't get into fights again. I didn't start a fight. My friend brought me to the university gate, but her friend saw us. He thought there was something between us and came up to hit me, Su Bingwu said. Su Wei's face turned red of anger. These people are so shameless. Why didn't your classmate explain things? She dropped me off at the entrance and went inside, so she didn't see anything, Su Bingwu said. Then couldn't you explain that dash? Su Wei stopped halfway. She knew that she couldn't blame her brother. Men needed to keep face. He would lose face if he tried to explain things immediately. And looking at how Su Bingwu was acting, he might have been interested in that classmate. She sighed and said, Okay, let's get you patched up at the hospital, and then get something to eat. You don't need to worry about our situation anymore. I earned some money. You should just focus on studying. Then she laughed, awkwardly looking at Yemo. Punk. You haven't left yet? If I see you talk to Xiaoyin again, I will break your mouth. 3 young men walked out of the supermarket and came over. Su Wei saw that these men wouldn't let go of her brother, so she was about to reproach them when someone else said, Wei Qian, what do you mean? Yemo looked at the girl who had just spoken, and he happened to know her. It was that very annoying Xiaoyin from the plane. He had cured her mother, but she kept on saying he was a fraud. Did you hit Su Bingwu? Wei Qian, how can you be so shameless? So what if I talk to my classmate? Who are you? Do you think I can't live without your little support? You piece of trash. Wei Qian was sworn speechless. But Xiao Yin wasn't done yet. She started calling the police. Xiao Yin, the young man's expression turned bad, but he didn't dare refute. He knew she was right. The Shen family could easily destroy a jewelry merchant's son. Don't call me that. The girl finished the call and then said to Su Bingwu, Sorry, Su Bingwu, I just wanted to help you. I didn't think you end up meeting scum like him. Oh, it's fine. Shanine, this is my sister Su Wei, and this is my sister's friend, Yi Mo. Su Bingwu pointed at them as he spoke. He was very uneasy in front of Shanine. Hearing this, Shanine started to study Yi Mo without blinking. Su Wei and Su Bingwu looked strangely at Shanine. Yi Mo was very ferocious and ugly-looking in that moment. How could Shanine be so interested in Yi Mo? Su Bingwu felt a bit bitter. He was much better than Yi Mo in terms of age and looks. Why had Shanine noticed Yi Mo as soon as she saw him? Are you really called Yi Mo? Shanine suddenly asked after having studied him for a while. She looked at Yi Mo's eyes, and then she suddenly seemed surprised and joyful. He realized that she must have recognized him, but she just wasn't too sure due to the difference in appearance. Although he didn't have a good impression of her, Yi Mo still nodded, but didn't say anything. Shen Yin's eyes made Su Wei feel uncomfortable. It was as though she was trying to take off Yi Mo's clothes and see through him. Yi Mo, Xiao Wu, let's go. I still need to go to the hospital to see my mom, Su Wei said. Su Bingwu suddenly said, Sister, how is Mom doing? I was so worried. Seeing her brother's desperate eyes, she could only say, Xiao Wu, don't worry. Mom will be out of the hospital soon. Brother Yi will treat Mom. His medical skills are very good. Oh, so Brother Yi is a doctor. Su Bingwu breathed, at ease. He had thought his sister had had no choice but to find a sugar daddy. Hearing this, Shen Yin's eyes brightened up. She walked to Yi Mo and asked, Are you really a doctor? Yi Mo sneered, but he still didn't say anything. My uncle has been in bed for half a year. I want you to have a look at him, Magical Dr. Yi, Shanine said hesitantly. Yi Mo could tell what she meant, but a flash of disgust crossed his eyes. He waved his hand and said, Move aside. I don't want to cheat your family's money. It really is you, Magical Dr. Yi. I'm sorry, I was blind last time we met, and I suspected you were a fraud. Shanine held onto Yi Mo's leg and knelt down. Yi Mo pushed her away and said coldly, I'll repeat it again. Your family's business has nothing to do with me. I won't help no matter what you say. I don't need such a small amount of money from your family, and you wouldn't even be able to pay the medical bills. Everyone was shocked. They all knew that Shen Yin was from the Shen family, and no one would dare abuse the Shen family's people in Jin City. However, Shen Yin had knelt down to this man, and yet the man still had an indifferent expression. What shocked them the most was that the bearded man had said the Shen family couldn't pay for the medical bills. If the Shen family's was little money, then no one in the entire city was rich. The Shen family was one of the wealthiest families even in the whole country of China. What everyone didn't expect was that Shen Yin instead said, Sorry, Dr. Yi. I'm just grateful from the bottom of my heart that you saved my mom. Qingkui, I'm not asking you to treat my uncle. Her apology changed Yi Mo's view on her a little. Chapter 6, 23. Horny Woman. Chapter 6, 23. Horny Woman, Magical Dr. Yi, please forgive my insolence. If possible, I wish to treat you to dinner as thanks for my mother, Shanine said. Sometimes what you learn from books was incomparable to reality, when you thought you knew everything, and were sure that everything outside of your sphere of knowledge couldn't possibly exist. You would think that magical things like Yi Mo's charms would be nothing but a joke. But once you truly experienced something like it, you would realize that the joke was on you. As Lise Shanine felt that her state of mind and way of thinking had changed a lot ever since coming back, and she was no longer superficial and so full of herself, a police car soon arrived, and a policeman greeted Shen Yin before taking away Wei Qian and his gang without hesitation. Yi Mo knew that Shen Yin's family was quite powerful, but no matter what, he didn't want to be involved with them. Sorry, I already have arrangements for tonight. I'm going to Tung Wong Restaurant. As for your gratitude, you've already paid me, so it doesn't matter. Yi Mo turned her offer down. Shanine heard this and desperately asked, then how about tomorrow? Tomorrow won't work either. I'm leaving tomorrow. Let's go, Su Wei. Then Yi Mo turned around and left with Su Wei and Su Bingwu. Shanine knew that people like Yi Mo were hard to meet, and it was already luck amongst luck that she could see him twice. She only had one chance, and she wasn't going to let it go. He said he would be at Tung Wong Restaurant, so she would wait at the door and just shamelessly join his company. Thinking about this, Shanine walked away with a hopeful face. Brother Yi, are you really a doctor? Su Bingwu still asked in disbelief, who in the university didn't know about Shen Yin's pride. Yet she was that respectful to Yi Mo must be a truly capable person. Yi Mo knew what Su Bingwu was thinking and smiled. Don't worry, even if I didn't cure your mother, your sister now has enough money to cure her. Hearing this, Su Bingwu looked at Su Wei. Su Wei could only say, Yi Mo is also a stone gambling master, and when he took me along, he won 6 million for me. What? 6 million? Su Bingwu was dumbfounded. With 6 million, every problem their family had would be solved. Tung Wong Restaurant. It was a rather luxurious place in Jin City. When Yi Mo arrived, it was already dark. Su Wei's mother had had a kidney failure due to long-term fatigue. Yi Mo only needed 2 pills to cure that. All her mother needed to do now was to rest for a while. Su Wei knew that Yi Mo would be busy in the evening, so she left him alone and stayed with her brother in the hospital. Yi Mo really was busy. Usually, he wouldn't want to waste time eating with merchants like Luo Zilian. It wasn't that he was arrogant, but that he wouldn't ever have any reason to interact with their lives. After this thing was over, he would probably go back to Luo Yu to live there for a while, and then go to the small world to find the bitter 10 years. With a place of his own, Yi Mo's only pursuit was to reach higher states of cultivation. The main reason why Yi Mo did come this evening was to ask them if they knew about the auction. If they did, he might find the 5-element rock that night. If they didn't, he would go find Pan Sheng. Not everyone would know about a high-level auction like this. The first person he saw at the door was actually Shanine. He immediately understood why she was there, but no matter what she had to say, he wouldn't help that easily. Magical Dr. Yi, Shanine quickly greeted. Yi Mo frowned. I'm not a doctor. I only treat people occasionally, when I'm out of money. Brother Yi, I came to eat with you. So, Shen Yin's face was blushing. She really was embarrassed. The young girl of the Shun family was shamelessly joining someone else for dinner. Yi Mo sighed. If he still didn't agree, that would be too cold, so he said, Okay, come up together with me then. Hearing this, Shen Yin immediately rejoiced. Thank you, Brother Yi, for giving me this chance. Right at that moment, 2 people came out and quickly greeted Yi Mo. Mr. Yi, it's really nice to see you. When Hudan saw Yi Mo, the joy on his face was genuine. Luo Zilian followed behind and was also happy with Yi Mo's arrival, but they soon saw that another girl had come with Yi Mo, Miss Shen Yin from the Shin family. Luo Zilian recognized her immediately. Yes, may I ask who you are? Shen Yin didn't know Luo Zilian. Luo Zilian quickly replied, I went to Elder Shen's 90th birthday 2 years ago, and I saw you there, but you might not have noticed me, Because Yi Mo was the main focus of this dinner, the people got along pretty well, but Luo Zilian moved closer to Yi Mo from time to time, which made Shin very uncomfortable. She felt like the woman was like a horny cat. She looked like an astute woman who fully utilized her privileges. Shin knew that Yi Mo wasn't some bearded tough guy, and felt that if someone of Yi Mo's level was seduced to bed by Luo Zilian, it would be desecration, but she couldn't really start doing the same as what Luo Zilian was doing or say anything to Yi Mo. This made her very anxious. Shin didn't doubt that Luo Zilian would be able to seduce Yi Mo to bed. She had been in the Shun family for too long, and she knew that the relationships of wealthy men and women were very promiscuous. There was no such man who didn't cheat, especially when confronted with a very mature and seductive woman. Hudan also saw what was going on and felt like he had made a wrong move. He should have gotten a beautiful girl to come too. Luo Zilian did indeed want to get Yi Mo to bed with her. She was an astute woman. Everyone had just brushed it off as Yi Mo being very capable during the day, but she had a different view. She thought that the reason why Yi Mo had had a 100% success rate and knew what was inside the rock up front couldn't be explained just by capability. He must have had some special way to see what was inside the rocks, whether it was some special glasses or some high-tech thing. She wanted to get her hands on it. So what if she had to sleep with a big bearded dude for a few nights? As long as she could get it, she wouldn't mind sleeping with him for a year. Although she wasn't a woman any random man could take to bed, this bearded man had the right to have some fun with her. Chapter 6:24 Auction at Sea. Chapter 6:24 Auction at Sea. Yi Mo sneered. He of course knew what Luo Zilian was thinking. Although the dinner had just started, he already didn't want to continue. He said to Luo Zilian, "Thank you, CEO Luo, for getting rid of those hoodlums. It saved me from being robbed." Luo Zilian was shook. She didn't expect Yi Mo to have noticed that. She had underestimated him. She had been planning on taking the less subtle approach if he didn't comply, and letting him know that she helped him send away a lot of those gangsters. If she hadn't, he wouldn't even be able to leave the city. But now it seemed that he was no simple person, and his tone was even a bit sardonic when he mentioned the hoodlums. One could see that he wouldn't have had to be scared even if she hadn't intervened. Yi Mo went on to ignore Luo Zilian and raised the cup to Hudan and said, "Brother Hu, I heard there's going to be a big auction in this city, and that a colorful stone is to be sold. Is that the case?" Hudan toasted with Yi Mo and replied, "Was there such a thing? How come I don't know? CEO Luo, have you heard of it?" Hudan was also unhappy with Luo Zilian being so horny. No, I didn't know either." Luo Zilian returned to her senses, but her reply was rushed. Yi Mo's words had made her feel like she'd lost control of the situation. According to her plan, everything should have been under her control. When Yi Mo came, she would get Yi Mo drunk and take him to her place and suck him dry. Yi Mo's words, however, had made her lose control. Shin said, "Brother Yi, it's usually my cousin who represents the Shun family to go to auctions. I can ask for you." Seeing Hudan and Luo Zilian not know about the auction, Yi Mo was disappointed. Theoretically, wealthy people like Hudan should be able to know about these high-level auctions, but even he didn't know. It would seem like this auction wasn't simple. Or maybe that old man in Jiutong had been lying to him. Yi Mo nodded. "Please call your cousin right away, then." If he had been lied to, he wouldn't mind going back and taking everything in Jiutong's gem banner. Shin didn't call inside. She went outside to call. In the meantime, perhaps feeling a bit concerned, Luo Zilian didn't behave like before. Hudan said, "I've heard of Shin Yin's cousin. She's the eldest daughter of the Shun family, a business genius. That elder Shun loves her a lot, and she controls all the businesses of the Shun family. She could be said to be the most powerful person in the Shun family other than Elder Shun himself." Now that Elder Shin died, though, the Shin family members have started fighting and they didn't let her keep controlling all those businesses. Luo Zillian intervened. It's said that the eldest daughter of the Shin family is very ugly, but I don't know if that is true. Hu Dan laughed. This might be just gossip, but it is true that 2 years ago when the face-preserving pill appeared in Hong Kong, Elder Shin sent people to try to buy it, but they didn't succeed. At this moment, Shin Yin ran in and said, "Brother Yi, that auction you mentioned does exist. It's about to start right now. It's on a cruiser at sea. My cousin just sent me everything, and she is there, but I'm afraid you're out of time." Yi Mo was angry. That Luo Yu tricked him indeed. He misled him in terms of the date, and if he hadn't met Shanine, he would have been fooled. "Thank you, Shanine. I owe you one. I'll be leaving now, but I can help you with any one thing you want when I come back tomorrow. Thanks for the treat, Boss Hu. CEO Luo, see you next time." And Yi Mo had left. Yi Mo was very desperate. If the auction ended, he would probably not be able to find the 5-element rock again. The remaining 3 looked at each other. Shun Yin only then realized that Yi Mo had said he would help her with something and immediately felt like the world was great. Hu Dan was disappointed, but he was still happy to have met someone like Yi Mo. Luo Zillian felt the worst. She didn't accomplish even 1/10, 0.000 of her goal. And she felt like hating Shin Yin with her whole heart, but Shin Yin was from the Shin family and she couldn't mess with that. At this moment, on the international sea region near North Korea, a huge cruiser was slowly cruising. In the largest hall, a world-level auction was taking place. It was held by Hong Kong Auctions, the largest auction company in the world. They dared auction anything. The cheapest thing to have been sold there had a price tag of almost $1 million. This was a place for the rich, a place for the rich to burn money. You could sell anything there, as long as you could pay the auctioning price. Even if the item wasn't sold, you'd still need to pay the auctioning price. And if the item was sold, you'd have to pay a percentage on top of that. Their credibility was world-class, though, and all you had to worry about was getting the invitation. Those who could be invited were all global elites, and some countries even came incognito because the auction didn't allow the direct intervention of governments. If you disguised as some wealthy person, however, no one would care. Right at this moment, an ancient Egyptian curse ball was sold for $50 million. Usually the auction would proceed at a constant rapid pace, but at this moment, it was different. An old, white man was standing on the stage, about to say something. He scanned everyone and said, "Those who come to our auction are all global elites, and I believe that everyone knows the rules, yet someone still just sent a text message from the cruiser. Although our auction is open and just we really don't want to see this happen again. You may contact people after the auction. Well then, let the auction continue." Shun Qianqian subconsciously shivered. She knew of the rule, of course, but she also knew that this was her last time coming to the auction. Ever since Elder Shin passed away, she had been handing over everything under her control, and although she had been able to come that evening, she couldn't buy anything. One message was a warning, but the second time, the Shin family would never be allowed to come again. A blonde girl wearing revealing clothes carried a silver plate and went on stage. The auctioneer was also a white woman in her 30s with a good face who looked very formal. The next item is a mystical goo bug from the Miao people of China. It's called a mind control goo, and it comes with some simple instructions. The starting bid is 30 million, and each increment must be no lesser than 1 million. 35 million. A screen was showing the bids. 40 million. 43 million. The price soon rose to 50 million. The final bid was 56 million. The winner was a man mostly covered with a black scarf, but the part of his face that was revealed showed a crater-like face. The blonde girl was shaking as she walked up to the man. The transaction process happened quickly. Then, Another young girl, wearing clothes on only 3 points of her body, carried out a gold plate. Inside the plate was a jade box. Chapter 6:25, Borrowing Money. Chapter 6:25, Borrowing Money. The formally dressed woman held up the box and opened it before saying, "This is a milky white stone, and one can feel its spiritual properties when holding it. The Chinese call it a qi stone. It's very helpful for those cultivating ancient martial arts and mutant powers. If you don't cultivate, you can wear it, and it will make you very healthy." The stone emitted a faint white aura, showing its extraordinary properties. It was even prettier than white jade. The starting bid is 50 million, and each increment must be no lower than 1 million. The scene fell into a brief silence. The rock looked good, but this price was too absurd. 50 million wasn't very much to a lot of the people there, but it was no small number either. Was it worth it buying a rock for that much money? But still, some people didn't mind. 100 million. Almost everyone looked at the man who made the bid. It was the same man who bought the goobug. Looking at his bleak outlook, those around him didn't dare make a bid. He brought it to 100 million in one bid, implying that those who competed with him would be his enemy. No one here wanted to have enmity with such a scary man over a not that important rock. No one would dare hurt anyone during the auction, but that wasn't the case after the auction was over. 100 million going once, 100 million going twice. Is no one else going to bid? The auctioneer was helpless. The person who owned the rock told them it would sell for a heavenly price, yet it stopped at 100 million. But she couldn't say anything to the man. Everyone knew that he was threatening people, but he hadn't really said anything. "How much per increment again?" A voice suddenly appeared in the scene. Shen Qianqian just realized that there was suddenly a bearded man next to her with a knife scar on his face. That person was Yi Mo, of course. If it weren't for the faint spirit qi emitted by the rock, he would have taken a while longer to find the place, so he felt lucky. He had been planning on finding the 5-element rock above everything. But now he had to get this spirit stone first, no matter what. Everyone heard Yi Mo's voice appear suddenly, but no one thought that he would have just arrived, as that was impossible. 1 million, Shen Qianqian replied. "Oh, then I'll bid 110 million, Yi Mo said. Hearing this, the woman smiled. "Sir, please have a seat and use the device on your chair to make a bid." Noticing that Yi Mo didn't speak English very well, Shen Qianqian quickly said, "There's an empty seat here. Sit down first, and then you can use the device to make a bid." She didn't know how the bearded man had come in, but she had the ability to remember everyone who did, and she hadn't seen this big beard, so she thought he couldn't have arrived only now, right? Yi Mo felt a little awkward. He was too excited just then. He had come to look for the 5-element rock, but he found spirit stones as well. He was too lucky. Yi Mo sat down and soon made his bid. He was competing with the bleak man for the spirit stone, so Yi Mo's actions caught everyone's attention. That man looked at Yi Mo and sneered, bidding 120 million without hesitation. Yi Mo wanted to keep making a bid, but Shen Qianqian said, "If that stone isn't extremely important to you, I suggest you don't make any more bids. That man isn't simple." Yi Mo scanned Shen Qianqian. She also wore a face mask, but Yi Mo didn't even scan her face. His mind was on getting the spirit stone, no matter how extraordinary that bleak man might be. 130 million. Yi Mo's bid made people realize that this qi stone had to be very extraordinary after all. Otherwise, there wouldn't be two people spending that much money to fight over it. The bleak man stopped making bids for some reason. He just glanced coldly at Yi Mo and kept his silence. The girl walked up to Yi Mo and asked Yi Mo to pay on the spot. Yi Mo just realized that he had given his card away. He had 700 million in cash, but he couldn't just suddenly take out a large pile of cash. Everyone quickly noticed Yi Mo's expression, and the bleak man sneered, "You're not here to cause trouble, are you?" You made a bid, but you don't have the money? HMPF. He knew that the auction holder would deal with Yi Mo for sure. Even Shin Qianqian looked worriedly at Yi Mo. It could cost him his life if he was causing trouble there. There were guns everywhere. Yi Mo looked awkwardly at the people around him. Who can lend me 130 million? I promise I will return it quickly. Yi Mo didn't want to ask Su Yuehua because some governments knew their account. And if Su Yuehua transferred the money, people would know that Luo Yu had bought the spirit stone. This wasn't the most important thing. What was more important was that Luo Yu was different from before. Luo Yu's money belonged to national reserves, so it wouldn't be good for him to take out that money for private use. Yi Mo's words made everyone silent. Then quiet discussions started all around. If this happened elsewhere, perhaps it would be funny, but here it would cost him his life. As soon as Yi Mo said this, armored soldiers came into the scene. Although Yi Mo could just take it and leave, that would be too embarrassing. That would simply be using his power to rob them. Everyone, including Shin Qianqian, didn't want to lend Yi Mo money. This was $100 million after all. Yi Mo really didn't want to fight as he still hadn't found the 5-element rock yet. He felt like Shin Qianqian seemed easy to talk to, so he said to her, "Miss, if you lend me 150 million, I promise I will pay you back 200 million. Seeing the genuine look in Yi Mo's eyes, Shin Qianqian explained nicely, "I'm sorry, it's not that I don't want to lend you, but we've never met before, and I don't have much money. I need the money for pills, so I can't lend that to you now." She had only saved up around $200 million after so many years of hard work. How could she lend it away to some random bearded dude? Her words were clear, but Yi Mo asked without thinking too much about it, "What pills do you want? Perhaps I have some." Chapter 626. Target found. Chapter 626. Target found. I want a face-preserving pill, Shin Qianqian sighed. She was prepared to leave. The reason why she had come was to try her luck and see if she could buy a face-preserving pill. Yi Mo clapped. "Perfect, I happen to have one. I'll give you the pill, and you help me pay that 130 million. You dash." Shin Qianqian looked at Yi Mo speechlessly. She didn't think there would be such a person. She might look soft on the outside, but she was pretty tough on the inside. Even though Yi Mo was like this, she still didn't want to curse him. She always tried not to offend anyone. The reason why Elder Shin had placed her as the controller of the Shun family businesses was partly due to her commercial capabilities, but mostly due to her ability to deal with people. But Yi Mo was being too oppressive. The people who heard this instantaneously started sneering. Who there wasn't an astute businessman who would believe such words? A very serious auction had become comical all of a sudden due to Yi Mo. Yi Mo took out a bottle with the face-preserving pill and gave it to Shin Qianqian. "Take a look. If it's what you're looking for, lend the money to me." Shin Qianqian took the bottle helplessly. But before she could even open it, 6 men with guns walked up to Yi Mo. "Sir, if you're not buying anything, please leave. This is not a place for you to cause trouble," the bulky man in the lead said as he grasped his gun tightly. From his tone, it would seem that if Yi Mo resisted even a little, he would open fire. Yi Mo sneered. "How much time do I have after winning a bid to close the deal?" 10 minutes, the girl holding the plate said in Chinese. "Has it been 10 minutes already?" Yi Mo asked coldly. "No." Yi Mo slammed the table. "Since it hasn't been 10 minutes yet, why are you coming at me with guns? Are you going to rob me? Can you see I'm gathering funds?" "Gathering funds? Were you ever even planning on paying the money? You don't have any money on you, and you're asking strangers for money. Do you think everyone except for you is an idiot?" A yellow-skinned man spoke. At this moment, Shin Qianqian suddenly said shakily, I will pay for him." Then she immediately started performing the transaction. Everyone looked at this comical scene in shock. That girl actually lent the man the money. Those men with guns saw that the money had been paid, so they could only leave. Yi Mo never intended on teaching them a lesson. With the spirit stone in hand, Yemo felt very happy. He would ask where it came from later. Is this really a face-preserving pill? After everyone left them alone, Shun Qian asked Yemo shakily, Of course, do you think I'm lying to you? Yemo took the spirit stone and commented, No, but my grandpa took me to try to buy this pill once, but at first we weren't even sure if the pill was real, and we didn't have that much money at the time, so we didn't get it. But I've seen the pill since then, and it does look exactly like this. Shun Qian was trying to control her excitement. Yemo nodded and didn't speak any further. He scanned his spirit sense around and didn't find the 5-element rock. I don't have enough money right now, but can you sell me this pill? Don't worry, I'll pay you however much is needed, Shun Qian said. Yemo smiled. Shun Qian blushed. I'm from the Shin family in Jin City, so don't worry, I will definitely dash. Yemo stopped her mid-sentence. You're Shun Qian? Yemo immediately asked. Yes, I'm Shun Qian. Do you know me? Shun Qian had never seen Yemo before. Yemo shook his head and said, I don't know you, but I was eating with Shin-in a moment ago when I heard that you were at the auction here, so I came. What? Shun Qian looked at Yemo as though he were a ghost. He had been eating with Shun Qian a moment ago, and now he was here? They were at sea. Yemo touched his nose awkwardly. He realized he'd spilled the beans. He had been in Jin City just then. How could he have come to the cruiser so quickly? Yemo shut his mouth and didn't bother trying to explain. Shun Qian also gradually calmed down and didn't ask how Yemo got there. Although she didn't know how Yemo had come to the cruiser and gotten inside, she knew Yemo was no ordinary person. How do you know Shin-in? Shun Qian asked after a while. Yemo breathed a sigh of relief. He'd feared that Shun Qian would ask him how he got there. This one time, I was on the plane from San Francisco to Hong Kong, and I met Shin-in there when I helped her mom Qing Kui, Yemo said casually. What? You're that magical Dr. Yemo? Shun Qian got up subconsciously, but quickly sat down upon remembering her surroundings. Yes, I am. Thank you for today. If you hadn't messaged Shin-in, I wouldn't have known that the auction was here. Yemo had a good impression of her. She didn't ask what shouldn't be asked. Shun Qian came to understand why Yemo had something like the face-preserving pill. If he really could cure patients with charms like Shin-in said, no wonder he had the pill. She had laughed it off when Shin-in told her about him. But now that she saw Yemo combined with the information he'd accidentally spilled, she confirmed that Yemo was indeed no ordinary person. His face was most likely also a disguise because it didn't fit Shin-in's description. The auction went on, but Shin-in noticed that Yemo had closed his eyes. He wasn't interested in anything else. She didn't disturb Yemo and carefully took the face-preserving pill. It melted instantaneously as cool streams started flowing across her body. Yemo noticed but didn't care. He had started searching every corner with his spirit sense. An hour later, Shun Qian felt like her face was crawling with ants. She carefully looked at Yemo before taking out a mirror and looked at herself. The large patches of red and black had become mere powder on her face. She wiped it, and it all came off immediately. A pristine face appeared on the surface of her mirror. Shun Qian couldn't help but tear up. For many years, she hadn't dared show her face. Now, her face had finally gone back to what it was before she got injured. She had been working so hard to earn money for the family just so that she could cure her face, and now, like a dream, she had obtained the face-preserving pill. Shun Qian subconsciously looked at Yemo and was full of gratitude. She wiped her eyes and said, "Thank you, Dr. Yi." Yemo's eyes remained closed, but he suddenly smiled and waved his hand. "Congratulations on removing the poison and getting your looks back. No need to thank me. You properly paid for it. You know my appearance was caused by poison? Shun Qianqian looked strangely at Yi Mo. Even Elder Shin hadn't figured it out. How did Yi Mo know? Did you forget that I'm magical, Dr. Yi? Yi Mo said casually, but his mood wasn't casual at all. He searched again and again, but there were no signs of the five-element rock. Ladies and gentlemen, the auction ends here. And our next stop is Chiozhou Island. I hope everyone had a good time. Yi Mo became completely disappointed when the auction ended. Just when everyone was leaving, Yi Mo's eyes were filled with joy and surprise as he stared at a man with a camera on his chest. Chapter 627. Kill all? Chapter 627. Kill all. Shin Qianqian saw that Yi Mo wasn't in a hurry to go out, so she didn't go yet either. However, when almost everyone had left, and she saw that Yi Mo still had no intentions to go, she said goodbye, and left first. Yi Mo's spirit sense was locked onto that man. He had a camera hanging around his neck, but Yi Mo knew that the camera was hollow and had a small bag inside. His spirit sense couldn't see through it, but the bag covered something a bit larger than a fist. It wasn't the first time Yi Mo encountered things that could block spirit sense. The first time was that wooden cupboard in which the woman in the ghost building had been, and now this camera also had a small wooden box inside. The man seemed to sense that someone was staring at him as he looked around before going into the hall. Yi Mo took back his spirit sense, gasping at the man's accurate senses. Even Earth-level masters wouldn't be able to notice his spirit sense as long as it didn't cause large ripples. Of course, if there were large chi ripples, they were much easier to be noticed. The man who held the camera looked like an ordinary person, yet he had noticed his spirit sense. Although Yi Mo hadn't seen what was inside the box, he was 90% sure that it was the five-element rock. He didn't understand why the rock was in that person's hands without being auctioned, though. No matter what, that person wouldn't be able to keep it now that Yi Mo had found it. Thinking like this, Yi Mo got up and noticed only then that everyone had gone out already. He saw Shun Qianqian in front of him, so Yi Mo ran to catch up with her. Meanwhile, Shun Qianqian was stopped as soon as she walked out of the hall by that bleak man. You're from the Shin family, aren't you? You're quite bold, daring to lend money to someone who wants to steal something that belongs to me. If I tell you that that man will die soon, and that so will all of the Shin family, will you regret it? Hey, I heard you're ugly, but to me, as long as it's a woman, I can F***CK to death. As for looks, I don't care. Every single word the man spoke made Shun Qianqian shiver. Even though there were people nearby, the bleak man had said everything without hesitation. Everyone who heard this moved away and didn't even dare look at him. You don't care, but I care. Look at your ugly face. Even the maggots squirming in toilets are better looking than you. Are you trying to disgust me by standing here or something? Yi Mo's voice sounded. Everyone heard Yi Mo's words, but no one dared to laugh. If they offended this man, perhaps the next moment they would be drowning in the sea. No one would care if you died on this ship. Shun Qianqian was losing her mind. She had vaguely guessed who this person was by then and was getting more and more worried. After Yi Mo's voice sounded, she hid behind Yi Mo without hesitation. The bleak man glared cruelly at Yi Mo. He didn't think there would really be people in this world who didn't fear death. He hadn't even gone looking for Yi Mo, yet Yi Mo came up to him first. Ha! The man laughed. I didn't think Yan Wuliang, would be so unknown when I have only been out for a couple of years. The man was laughing, but his face didn't wear a smile at all. He suddenly stopped, and then said word by word, if I don't make you regret living in this world, I'm a dog. Yan Wuliang? Which bug are you? I've never heard of you, but please stop insulting dogs. Yi Mo sneered, and then spoke to Shun Qianqian. Go inside. I'm going to burn this bug. I'll ask you some questions later. Yi Mo didn't know Yan Wuliang, but that didn't mean other people didn't know. As those few people standing far away heard the name Yen Wuliang, they immediately ran as far as they could. Soon, the entire ship was discussing Yen Wuliang. He hailed from Miaojiang and had the nickname of Kill All. All those who offended him were killed, and he dealt with women all the more cruelly. If that man really was Yen Wuliang, then what he'd said to Shin Qianqian was no lie. He never needed to commit the act of killing himself, as he had tens of types of goo bugs that could kill for him. The reason for his face being like a crater was apparently a goo bug rebelling against him. But then as well, he simply killed that goo bug. In many people's eyes, Yen Wuliang was a demon. Perhaps demons would be more good-hearted than him. People didn't even dare look at the people he'd killed. Shin Qianqian heard Yi Mo's words and didn't dare stay there. When she heard the man confirm that he was Yen Wuliang, all the blood from her face went away. She subconsciously looked back at Yi Mo, but no longer had the courage to talk to him. Very well, you have balls, Yen Wuliang voiced, an extremely angry snarl. He didn't expect this bearded man to remain so cocky even after he said his name. Even though this wasn't the right place to be fighting, he waved his hand and shot a few black rays at Yi Mo, like lightning nonetheless. Meanwhile, four people were sitting in a luxurious room with a serious face. It was 3 men and 1 woman. The woman was less than 30 and had a clear face. She looked very academic. 2 of the 3 men looked Asian while one was a short, black man. The person who had the camera was among them. We just confirmed that the person who bought the mind-controlling goo is Yen Wuliang from Miaojiang. He's talking to the bearded man about the chi stone as we speak, the woman said. Hearing this, one man asked, Sophia, have you found out who the man who bought the chi stone is? When did he even arrive? How come we have no data of him? Sophia replied, not yet, but there's no recording on the cameras of the man entering the auction site. It's as though he just suddenly appeared, or he came in disguise. The auction party did say that 1 more person went out than the amount of people who came in. The man with the camera said, I don't think this man appeared out of nowhere. Was the surveillance camera tampered with? Let's not rush to conclusions first. Since that person spent a large sum buying our chi stone, he must be an ancient martial artist. If he's from some hidden sect, we can talk it out with him. The other man nodded. We need to talk for sure, but now that he's been targeted by Yen Wuliang, we don't know how this will end. Yen Wuliang's a madman, and we have important business this time, so we shouldn't mess with him for now. As for the bearded guy, he probably really did give the true face-preserving pill to Shin Yan. No ordinary person can take that out. Bobby, keep a close eye on that bearded man, and Yen Wuliang. Yes, Captain Song Benlang, the short, black man replied, and left the room. Then the captain looked at the cameraman and asked, Cassie, did you really feel someone watching you before? Yes, definitely. I felt that person look very closely, like I was being seen through by him. I didn't dare stay outside, so I came in immediately, Cassie said worriedly. Song Benlang heard this and commented without thinking, Cassie, why don't you give the thing to Sophia, and we let her put it inside her bra? We must keep the 5-colored rock safe, no matter what. Chapter 628, Mysterious Metal Card. Chapter 628. Mysterious metal card. Before the black rays reached Yi Mo waved his hand, and sparks flickered. The black ray turned to dust immediately, before Yen Wuliang could react. Yi Mo formed a grabbing motion in midair, and his chi formed a claw, clenching Yen Wuliang's throat and dragging him to a distant corner. Yen Wuliang was scared ***. The bearded man clearly hadn't grabbed him, but he felt an invisible hand grab him by the neck. Was this the legendary chi materialization? Yen Wuliang's heart fell into a glacier thinking about it. Yi Mo dumped him onto a metal board. Who are you? Yen Wuliang was no longer cocky like before. He asked that subconsciously, and as soon as he did, he realized how shaky his tone was. He had killed countless people in his life, but now that it was his turn, he feared death. Yi Mo sneered. "Weren't you going to kill me?" "Huh? Now I'm here, so why are you asking me who I am? A mere yellow-level dares be this cocky." "Qianbei, I was blind. Please have mercy. I'll do whatever you want," Yan Wuliang said without thinking. He didn't even dare look up. This bearded man could even see his power level, and he could materialize his qi. He had to be absurdly strong. Yi Mo took out a chair from somewhere and sat down. Then he took out the spirit stone and asked, "Why did you want this?" "Wanbei should die if I knew Qianbei wanted it." "Wanbei dash, don't talk garbage. I asked you why you wanted it." Yi Mo yelled. He felt strange. When he first tossed Yan Wuliang away, he was very scared, but now he didn't seem as scared as before. Yan Wuliang replied, "This is called a qi stone, and it has a very important use. When ancient martial artists are about to break through, they can shatter the stone and eat it to break through quickly without any side effects." Hearing this, Yi Mo was very disappointed. He thought Yan Wuliang had fought over it because he knew what it was. But the guy didn't even know how to use it properly. Were spirit stones for eating? Have you ever seen one before? Yi Mo asked. Yan Wuliang nodded. "Yes, my master got one before, and he used it to reach the earth level. Where did your master get it from?" Yi Mo asked again. Yan Wuliang shook his head. "That I don't know, but I can tell you where my master died. Just please have mercy on me." Yi Mo sneered. "Have mercy? Easy for you to say. I didn't get anything at all after being threatened by you, and now you want me to forgive you? Qianbei, although you didn't get anything, I'm willing to give all my goo bugs to you, and I just got a mind control bug 2 dash." Before he finished, Yi Mo stopped him. "I'm not interested in your bugs. That's far from enough to save your life." Unexpectedly, Yan Wuliang laughed. "Qianbei, Wanbei's Wangu sect has a cultivation method thanks to which I can use a secret way to become a ghoul if I die. You may not believe this, but I can swear it's the truth. Qianbei can kill me, but after I die and turn into a ghoul, I can bite back dash." Yi Mo sneered. "Is that your bargaining chip? That's far from enough to threaten me. I met a guy called Rinsha in Hong Kong. He also kept goo, and he threatened me too. What a pity I burned his soul. Now, I meet someone else who threatens me again. It seems like your life ends here. I'll make sure to annihilate your soul too." Hearing this, Yan Wuliang's face changed drastically, and he asked worriedly, "Qianbei, you killed Martial Brother Rin?" Yan Wuliang knew Rin Sha too well. He was the genius of the Wangu sect. Although Rin Sha was his martial brother, he was much stronger than him. Yet a genius like him died to this big beard, and even his soul was annihilated. Yan Wuliang thought quickly, and immediately knew that if what the bearded man said was true, then he might really be done for. "Don't kill me, Qianbei. Have mercy. My master had a lot of other treasures too. If you let me go, I can tell you everything," Yan Wuliang uttered worriedly. Yi Mo couldn't even be bothered to listen. He took out a lighter and pointed the fire at Yan Wuliang. Yan Wuliang was quickly enveloped in fire. Afterwards, Yi Mo turned around to see a short, black man run away quickly and thought, "There's quite a lot of small fries on this boat." Yan Wuliang was burning, and the goo bugs flew out of his body, but none could run away. It was just as he had said, though. His soul didn't die immediately, and it looked at the fire in terror instead. Yi Mo sneered and turned Yan Wuliang's soul to dust with another fireball. Before it died, it still didn't believe how the big beard was able to see him. However, Yi Mo immediately noticed that there was something he hadn't burned away. Yi Mo picked it up, and it was a palm-sized metal card with some simple drawings on it. Yi Mo couldn't figure out what it was, but even metal should melt under his fireball. This metal card had stayed fine and cool. Yi Mo couldn't tell what it was made of, so he put it away for later research. The dust at the scene was blown away by the sea wind, as though nothing had happened. That short, black man who had been watching him had never cultivated before, but he sure was quick on his feet. Yi Mo didn't go find him immediately. He had more important things to do. He was going to find that camera guy and get the 5-element rock. Shun Qianqian had taken a shower and changed into a new pair of clothes. Although she still wore a veil on her face, she felt very different. If it wasn't for Yan Wuliang, she would be singing from joy. But due to that terrifying man, she was waiting for Yi Mo anxiously instead. She was even thinking, if Yi Mo got killed by Yan Wuliang, what would the Shin family do? But then she thought, since Yi Mo was able to come here all the way from Jin City that quickly, he is definitely powerful. When she then saw Yi Mo walk over slowly, she finally relaxed. Brother Yi, thank you for today. When we arrive at Qizhou Island, I can take you around. There are many fun places to go. Now, let me treat you to a drink. Shun Qianqian didn't even mention Yan Wuliang, and her tone was very relaxed. This was her first time asking a guy out to play. But Yi Mo wasn't in the mood to be drinking with her, so he smiled. It was no big deal, and I still have some things to do, so. Yi Mo had been wanting to find that camera guy and had searched the entire cruiser, but when he finally found him, his heart sunk. The camera wasn't on him. Yi Mo did find the camera in some room a moment later, but there were nothing inside. Meanwhile, that camera guy was gambling. Chapter 6:29 Unexpected Outcome. Chapter 6:29 Unexpected Outcome. By the way, come gamble with me for a bit. Yi Mo pulled Shun Qianqian into the casino. Shun Qianqian didn't expect Yi Mo would have such a hobby. To be honest, she really hated those who gambled. No matter how wealthy you were, if you loved gambling, you would lose it all. But since Yi Mo wanted to gamble, she could only follow. Yi Mo had become more careful after the camera disappeared from under his eyes. He wouldn't be as obvious around the gambling man as he had been with Shun Qianqian just then. He didn't want to startle them and lose the 5-element rock. If he could be noticed once, it could happen twice. He couldn't keep his spirit sense spread out constantly, but he could make it so that he would notice it if someone left. Yi Mo had pulled Shun Qianqian along to borrow her card. After he gave his card to Sister Yen, he hadn't gotten a new account yet. How much money do you have on your card? Yi Mo asked Shun Qianqian. As Shun Qianqian heard this, she confirmed that Yi Mo had no money, but she still owed Yi Mo money for the pill, so she would give him all the money she had on her if Yi Mo needed it. Thinking about this, she said, I have 50 million left. Then go buy 5-10 million chips. The smallest chip was 1,000 USD, while the highest was 10 million. If Yi Mo lost 5 times, he would have lost everything. Shun Qianqian wanted to remind Yi Mo, but thinking about the money as being all his, she couldn't control him. Although there were a lot of people at the casino, there weren't many sitting at the VIP tables. Most were sitting on the outside, and didn't bet that big. Yi Mo saw the camera guy sitting at the innermost VIP table, and he seemed to be the croupier. Unlike in other casinos, you only needed to pay to play here, and the customers could be the croupiers themselves. Yi Mo wanted to make contact with that man, so he had to bet with him first. After he won all his money, he would talk to him. Once again, Yi Mo searched the ship carefully with his spirit sense, but still didn't find anything. Right when Shun Qianqian came back with 5 chips, she saw Yi Mo frown up before he could even take the chips. What's wrong? Shun Qianqian asked. Yi Mo saw that the man he wanted to approach was leaving his seat and went to the bar, not far away. Yi Mo coughed and said, You go bet at the innermost table. I'm going to the bathroom. Shun Qianqian looked at Yi Mo speechlessly and could only come to the table herself. She couldn't follow Yi Mo to the bathroom. Could she? Although she went to the table, Shun Qianqian did keep her eyes on Yi Mo and noticed that he wasn't going to the bathroom. Instead, he went to the bar. That man ordered a glass of red wine and started chatting with the waitress. Soon, Yi Mo noticed that the man had already glanced twice at a woman sitting in one corner. The girl looked very academic and had a cup of juice in front of her. The girl looked a little shy and seemed like the well-educated type. Accompanied with her sturdy and busted chest, she would make people want to do anything for her. So he came to chat up girls? That's what Yi Mo thought. So he walked up to that girl without hesitation. At the same time, he kept his spirit sense on the man. The man was dazed, but immediately returned to normal and casually chatted with the waitress. But Yi Mo knew that he had looked at him more than once. The girl saw Yi Mo walk up to her and sat down. She was dazed and said in a soft and slow voice, "Sir Dash." Yi Mo smiled. "Beautiful lady, thank you for calling me sir. Although I look a bit rough, I actually am indeed a very gentle man. I saw you sit here all by yourself, so I came to drink with you. You wouldn't mind, right?" "Why would I? Please have a seat." The girl blushed and was seemingly at a loss about where to place her hands, but there was a small smile on her face. Yi Mo laughed to himself. This girl was interesting. She blushed from talking to strangers. What Yi Mo wanted was for the man at the bar to come up to him and save the girl. Then he would be able to look for trouble with the man without his friends suspecting him. And thus, Yi Mo closed in on the girl and suddenly grabbed her hand. "Let me start the introductions. My name is Mo Ing. What is yours?" The girl seemed startled by Yi Mo and quickly wanted to pull back her hand, but Yi Mo didn't let go. He kept his spirit sense on the man at the bar. But for some reason, the man didn't come. Had he misjudged something? Yi Mo let go of the girl's hand and sat down in disappointment. Seeing this, the girl quickly said, My name is Sally. Sorry, but I don't really like doing that with strangers." Yi Mo smiled and waved his hand. "No problem. I just like being straightforward. If there's a girl I like, I will chase after her. And unless Yi Mo wanted to say, I won't leave unless I get the girl, but he suddenly paused. He thought something wasn't right. This girl was already blushing after exchanging only one sentence with him. She clearly appeared very conservative, but when he'd held her hand, she had only blushed and hadn't had any other signs. Her pulse and heartbeat should have risen, but that didn't happen. This girl was problematic. Her blushing was fake. Thinking about this, Yi Mo sat down and grabbed her hand again, smiling. "So, unless I get the girl, I won't stop." At the same time, Yi Mo scanned the girl's body. Usually he didn't do that, but now that it was necessary, he did. Yi Mo scanned her body, but never scanned below her waist because he didn't need to. He had found the box again. It was in this girl's bra. Yi Mo wanted to laugh. He finally found it. No wonder that man kept looking over. They were conspirators. He wondered if that short black man was with them too. Yi Mo's spirit sense noticed another thing. The girl also had a black sun badge in her bra, which belonged to the Black Sun Empire. So it was an old enemy. Yi Mo sneered. Seeing the girl silently pull her hand away, he scanned the man too, and the man also had a Black Sun Empire badge. Furthermore, Yi Mo noticed small black dots in each of their ears. Those had to be communication devices. "Don't do this. I'm leaving." The girl pulled her hand away and wanted to get up to leave. How could Yi Mo let her go just like that? Yi Mo would have taken the box out already if he wanted to, but he now wanted to put a spirit sense mark onto it to see where the HQ of the Black Sun Empire was. "Sorry, I just like you too much. If you don't mind, give me the honor of one hug, and I will leave immediately." Yi Mo suddenly got up and said seriously. Yi Mo was sure she wouldn't reject that request. Chapter 630, Not Impossible. Chapter 630. Not impossible as Yi Mo expected. That academic-looking girl had a look of struggle in her eyes, but eventually just looked down and didn't say anything. Yi Mo smiled and walked to her side, but before he even hugged her, she put one arm in front of her chest. Other people would think that she was protecting her chest, but both Yi Mo and her knew fully well that she was protecting what was hidden in her bra. Yi Mo grabbed the arm in front of her chest and lifted it up a little, just enough to block her vision, before saying, "Why are you so nervous? I just wanted a quick ha." Yi Mo wasn't interested in hugging that type of woman. He just acted as though he did, and took the thing out as quickly as he could. Then he also put a spirit sense marked piece of gold inside. It was the 5-element rock indeed. Yi Mo was very excited. He dumped the rock in his ring and was no longer in the mood to talk to the woman. With his spirit sense marking her, she wouldn't be able to escape. Seeing Yi Mo move aside without really hugging her like he said, the girl felt strange and looked up at Yi Mo in confusion. Yi Mo smiled. "I like people with initiative. With those who aren't willing, I won't force it. Since you don't like me, then never mind. I'll be in the casino, so if you want to come find me, you can come over at any time." Then Yi Mo left. The woman looked on. As Yi Mo left, her face kept changing before she finally felt her chest and saw that the thing was still there. Then she left. As the man Yi Mo cared about saw Yi Mo and the girl leave, he also got up and followed Yi Mo. Even though Yi Mo had left, he kept his spirit sense on that woman. He knew that the woman would meet up with her friends soon. What was left for him to do now that he had the 5-element rock was pretty easy. When Yi Mo came to the casino, he saw Shen Qianqian sitting pitifully in a corner with only one chip in her hand. There had only been 6 people at the table before, but now there were 13. "Why aren't you betting anymore?" Yi Mo asked. Shen Qianqian said speechlessly, "If you still hadn't come, I would have changed the chip back to money. This is my last 10 million. If I lose it, I won't have anything on me except for some small change." "You lost 40 million in one go. Also, don't tell me you only have this card?" Yi Mo was surprised to see Shen Qianqian's talent for gambling. Shen Qianqian shook her head. "I didn't lose it in one go. It was in 4 goes. Yi Mo was speechless. Was there a difference? Seeing Yi Mo's silence, Shen Qianqian spoke again. "I can really only use this card. And that's only because I opened it in Switzerland myself. My card's in China, never mind that." At that moment, the man following Yi Mo also came to that table. He didn't seem to pay any heed to Yi Mo and just squeezed in. The dealer saw the man come over and quickly moved aside, giving him his position. So they're together, Yi Mo thought, and scanned to see the man had a black sun empire emblem. Yi Mo sneered. "Give me the chip. I will bet." Yi Mo took the chip from Shen Qianqian. Shen Qianqian hesitated before saying, "I only have this chip left. How about we switch it to 10 chips of 1 million? She was scared that Yi Mo would lose it all in one go, and if Yi Mo really had no money on him, like he said, then it wouldn't be good when they got to the island. And she didn't have anything either. "No need. What are the rules here?" Yi Mo asked. Shen Qianqian saw people come over and quickly said, "You bet on small or big, not on a specific number, so the odds are 1 to 2. However, if you bet on the tiger, you lose almost for sure. Only throwing 18 counts as a tiger. The other tigers aren't admitted here." Yi Mo saw the man with 3 dice and didn't expect that the odds of losing a bet on tiger would be so high. Conversely, it now seemed that he would only need to bet once. The man picked up the black dice and put them in the cup. Many people started to focus their ears, but Yi Mo didn't mind that and said to Shen Qianqian, "Don't worry, I'll just bet this once." Shen Qianqian sighed, thinking, "You only have 1 chip. Even if you wanted to bet more, you would need more money first." Suddenly, the man put the cup on the table. Many people started to place bets, and soon there were tens of millions on the table. Yi Mo took out the 10 million chip and put it on the tiger. Yi Mo's actions shocked Shen Qianqian. She quickly pulled Yi Mo back. "I've never seen a single tiger come out, you dash." "Ha, I know. But since I said that I'm only betting once, and since the tiger has the highest reward, I want to go for it and try to win as much as possible." As soon as Yi Mo said this, the people around him were speechless. The dealer stayed calm. He didn't believe anyone could cheat under such circumstances, although no one said anything because they didn't want to offend Yi Mo. Many people did laugh at his insolence. However, the few people who knew that Yi Mo had gone out with Yan Wuliang, yet had still been able to come back fine, knew that he was no simple character. "Never mind, do as you wish. The money is yours anyway," Shun Qianqian uttered speechlessly. Yi Mo smiled and didn't say anything. He could see that it was an 8 inside the cup and that the 3 dice were stacked on top of each other, but to Yi Mo it was all too easy to make it 3 6s. In order to ensure fairness, usually a third party would remove the cup and they wouldn't be allowed to use their hand. The bets were made, and the cup was about to be removed as the dealer smiled. He wasn't afraid of Yi Mo leaving. Once you were in the casino, if you had money, you would want to continue if you lost. It was addictive. The dealer knew what the result of his shake was: 1 6 and 2 1s. The 6 was on the very top, and the dice below were the 1s. The cup opened, and the very top was indeed a 6. The one opening the cup was a young girl. When she carefully took away the first die, a second 6 was revealed. The scene was in an uproar. 2 6s. If there was another 6, that would be a tiger. Seeing the second 6, the dealer's face changed. He had clearly shaken so that the second die would be a 1. How was it a 6? He was sure that no one should have been able to do anything, but the fact was that someone did. There was a master there. Before the man could stop the girl moved away the last die. 3 6s. It was a tiger. An explosion of disbelief spread around the table. No one would believe that a tiger could have appeared without foul play, but the only person who could have wanted to cheat was the big bearded guy, but he had been nowhere near the table. Shun Qianqian looked at the 3 6s, and it took her a long while to react. Her face got red with excitement, and she even hugged Yi Mo. That win was $500 million US. That was an unimaginable fortune to her. She had been working tirelessly in the Shen family for so many years and had only managed to earn $200 million. Yet now, Yi Mo won $500 million in an instant. Chapter 631. Shun Qianqian's Plans. Chapter 631. Shun Qianqian's plans. The dealer's face looked really bad, but he recovered quickly. He gave the dice to his partner and left. Yi Mo knew that he must have been signaled to leave. Shun Qianqian grabbed the large pile of chips and put them on her plate. She looked at Yi Mo and asked, "Should we keep playing?" Yi Mo smiled. "No need. Let's leave." He wasn't there for gambling. He was there for the Black Sun people. Since those guys were leaving, he didn't need to stay. Yi Mo scanned around with his spirit sense and noticed that the woman and short, black guy, as well as another man, were gathered in one room. He wanted to go listen to what they were up to and find out what use the 5-element rock had for them. Seeing Yi Mo and Shun Qianqian leave, everyone looked on with envy. Winning $500 million in one go was absurd. "Go exchange the chips. I'm going to sleep for a while." Yi Mo noticed that the place the dealer went to was where the 3 gathered. He wanted to check it out right away. "Wait, after I exchange the chips, I'll give you the card, and then you can leave." Shun Qianqian stopped Yi Mo. She was worried about exchanging a few $100 million by herself. After all, no one was easy to deal with on that ship, and the money was Yi Mo's. Shun Qianqian knew that most of the people on board were no strangers to shady business. How else could they earn so much? "Okay, but Miss Shun, I have a question I need to ask you. Most of the people on the ship have at least some bodyguards, so why don't you?" Shun Qianqian was an easy target, yet she was by herself. Shun Qianqian fell silent and didn't answer. She exchanged the chips and then gave the card to Yi Mo. "This is yours. The password dash, Yemo waved his hand. I don't need it. I said the price of the pill was 130 million, so I won't take a cent extra. As for the gamble, the starting money was yours, so the money we won is yours too. You can just go back and rest. Shen Qianqian hesitated and took the card. Okay, I'll take the money then. But Brother Yi, do you have time now? If you don't have any plans, come drink with me for a bit. And if you're tired, you can rest in my room. It seemed that she had figured out that Yi Mo had no place to sleep. Before Yi Mo could decline, Shen Qianqian smiled again. Don't tell me you don't have time. When you came to the casino part just then, I smelled perfume on you. You probably came from the bar, right? If you can accompany women who are strangers, then since we already know each other, you have to treat me the same. Yi Mo scanned that room again, and the four were still gathered together. Since they were there was no rush. They couldn't leave anyway. Thinking like that, he nodded. Okay, let's grab a drink first then. What happened? Why did you call me over so desperately? The dealer asked. Cassie, our higher-ups have ordered us to leave immediately. Seeing the man come in, Song Benling got up immediately. Cassie frowned. Why? That guy just won $500 million from us. It would be too easy on him to just let him leave. Moreover, we haven't even found out who he is yet. I was planning on doing that now. Song Benling shook his head. There's no need to investigate him. He's not someone we can deal with. According to our intel and his performance at the casino, the higher-ups have determined him to be the person who stole our gold and most of our scientists on Black Star Island. How can that be? Cassie was shocked. Sophia said slowly, it's not impossible. Actually, we're certain it's him. Shen Qianqian might have had her face destroyed, but her body is still better than mine. And if she indeed managed to buy the face-preserving pill back then at the auction, then her face should have recovered by now. Yet still, that big beard didn't do anything to her. Instead, he supposedly wanted to chat me up. He gave me a very dangerous feeling. I think he's already suspecting me. He even wanted to hug me, but luckily he didn't in the end. Did you lose the thing? Cassie lost his mind. 500 million wasn't that significant, but if they lost the 5-element rock, that would be a huge problem. Sophia shook her head. No, it's still there, but I just feel like he's dangerous. Also, we have checked the recordings repeatedly, and that big beard wasn't present when everyone boarded the ship, yet he suddenly appeared in the auction room. That sounds just like the events at our gold vault. The two cases were really similar. Plus, how did the 3 dice turn into all 6 ES? He didn't touch anything, but still turned the dices to win a tiger. This man is too dangerous. Sophia is right. This man is too dangerous. Although we don't know how he did it, but he's got capabilities that exceed what we can deal with. Luckily, we didn't lose the 5-element rock. The higher-ups did tell us to leave immediately, though. So someone else will be dealing with him, Song Benling said. The black man suddenly said, Yes, I suspect he even saw me when I was spying on him. He burned Yen Wuliang away with just a ball of fire. This man is very scary. Yi Mo kept scanning them with his spirit sense and found that they were still discussing something, so he didn't mind. As long as they didn't leave more than 1 kilometer from him, they wouldn't be able to get away. Furthermore, he had marked that woman especially, allowing him to sense her from up to 10 kilometers away. Shen Qianqian poured a cup for Yi Mo, but she drank 3 cups herself before putting her cup down and saying, Before meeting you today, I didn't even know what I would be doing in the future. I was lost, and the reason why I could even come today was because the Shen family had 1 spot, so they sent me just to show that the Shen family still existed. Then she laughed at herself and drank another cup. If I told you I didn't bring any money to this auction, you wouldn't believe it. But that is the reality of it. That 180 million was all my private money that I managed to set aside over the course of all these years. The Shen family sent me over without even a bodyguard and froze all my cards in China. It seemed like the Shun family no longer needed Shin Qianqian for their businesses. Shin Qianqian sneered. Brother Yi, when Auntie Qingkui asked you to cure her last time, she also used her own money. But even then, the card she gave you was still frozen by the Shin family. Then, Shin Yin asked many times for them to unfreeze it, but even though it was just some small money, the Shin family didn't want to give it to you. Auntie Qingkui saw through the Shin family, and because of it, didn't even return. Yi Mo was speechless. He didn't think that the card he got last time would actually have been frozen. No wonder Shin Yin always looked guilty, on account of it being thanks to her, that he found the location of the auction. He wouldn't mind. I like the feeling of managing businesses. I can only feel the value of my existence if I keep earning money. And Grandpa also said that he saw that I had only the businesses in mind, so he let me manage the Shun family. 60% of the Shun family's businesses were controlled by me, but how do they treat me now? I'm a Shun family member, yet my card was frozen. Luckily, I had some private money, or I would have had nowhere to even cry. Shin Qianqian drank again, her eyes dulled. I've just been a money-making machine for the Shin family all these years, and when I have no worth, they just kick me away. Yi Mo, magical Yoctor Yi, no brother Yi. Luckily, I met you. I'm very lucky. This is enough for me. Yi Mo thought, doesn't Luo, you lack a true business person? Shin Qianqian was a prodigy. The Shen family might be blind, but he could invite Shin Qianqian to Luo Yu thanks to that. Thinking like that, Yi Mo wanted to speak his mind, but then he heard a voice through the speakers. Dear passengers and friends, we have arrived at Qizhou Island. Yi Mo was shook as he realized it was already day. He scanned that room with his spirit sense and found that the four were gone. The ship hadn't even docked yet. How had they left? Yi Mo got up immediately and sent his spirit sense out, while Shin Qianqian was laying flat on the table. Chapter 632. Inside the Wall. Chapter 632. Inside the wall, Yi Mo looked at Shin Qianqian and felt helpless. He couldn't just leave her there, but he was sure that the four had left the cruiser. Yi Mo wasn't in a rush, though, as he was sure that they would still be on Qizhou Island, and he had marked the woman with his spirit sense mark. Considering that, Yi Mo used his qi to dissipate the alcohol in Shin Qianqian's body and gave her a bracelet. He looked at her and said, wear this bracelet, find a place to stay, and wait for me. I have some things to take care of, but I'll come back and find you. Shin Qianqian picked up Yi Mo's bracelet, and what she didn't know was that it was marked by his spirit sense so that he would be able to find her. She thought, why didn't he just leave his number? But soon she understood. Yi Mo had boarded the ship mysteriously, so he didn't have an identity that actually allowed him to be there. Hence, he had to get off mysteriously too. Yi Mo had guessed correctly. A bit more than 10 kilometers from the dock, the four had gathered together again. Sophia, take out the 5-element rock, Song Benlang commanded seriously. Seeing this, Cassie asked, is there a problem, Captain Song? Song Benling's face was very sullen. He took the wrapped item from Sophia and said, I just got news that only Shin Qianqian got off, and that the big bearded fellow disappeared. He disappeared suddenly, just like how he appeared suddenly before. I think that if we keep underestimating him, we could lose our lives on this island. I don't think we're underestimating him. We're taking him very seriously. But no matter how smart he is, he couldn't anticipate that we'd already have left the cruiser. Sophia shook her head. I agree with Captain. That big beard is strange. At the bar, even when he didn't look at me, I felt like I was being watched. That's right, I remember now. I had the exact same feeling when I had the camera. I'm very sensitive to telekinetic abilities. Could it be Dash? Cassie suddenly stopped. Everyone stared deadly at the hands of Song Benlang. He opened the wrapping, and there was no 5-element rock inside. It was just a piece of gold. The 5-element rock. Sophia's tone was shaky. She didn't expect the 5-element rock she hid in her bra to disappear and get switched for some gold. Who could have done the switch other than her? Captain, it wasn't me, I didn't do it. Thinking about the torture methods the organization used, Sophia's tone was shaky. Song Benlang's hands were shaking too. They had been operating carefully to the extreme, but the 5-element rock was still stolen from right under their eyes. He knew that Sophia couldn't have done it unless she didn't want to live anymore, but he didn't say anything. Someone had to bear the responsibility for losing it. Sophia had brought the empty package there, so she had to be responsible. I believe this has nothing to do with Sophia. We've known her for so many years. She wouldn't do it, and even if she did, she wouldn't come back here. If I'm not wrong, it should be that big beard. He's too unmeasurable. Unexpectedly, it was Bobby, who rarely spoke, who helped her out. Sophia looked at him with gratitude. Cassie had a look of guilt for a moment, but then he immediately said, although we know Sophia wouldn't do this, the package was on her when it was stolen. I don't need to mention how hard it would be to switch it around, right? So even if we believe her, what about our higher-ups? Cassie, what do you mean? Sophia knew that Cassie wanted to put the blame on her. She immediately rebuked, "This thing was always on you before I got it. When you took it out, no one saw it. Who knows if it was switched out already or not?" Song Benlang and Bobby fell into silence. Sophia was right. Who knew if it was lost before or after Sophia got it? Cassie saw that everyone was about to suspect him, so he immediately argued. Back at the bar, when Big Beard and Sophia were being intimate, perhaps that's when it was lost. Sophia retorted, "Cassie, do you think it's possible to win a tiger without touching the table? To be honest, who has the most chances of making it a tiger? If I was the dealer, I could do it easily." Cassie was annoyed and sneered, "You're saying I'm conspiring with him? I've been in the organization for so many years. I would dash." Song Benlang stopped him. "Okay, there's no point arguing here. If I'm not wrong, there must be something special about this gold. Perhaps he can even track us through it, or something. We need to leave this place first. I believe the authorities will investigate this." Sophia and Cassie's hearts fell. Song Benlang didn't mention whose fault it was anymore, but they knew the organization all too well. Even though they clearly knew that they didn't do it, they would be heavily interrogated as long as there was so much as a sliver of doubt. "Captain, what do we do now?" Bobby spoke. Song Benlang took out a black rubber-like thing and put it on the gold. Then he gave the gold to them. "I added a missile emitter onto this. I'll go give it to someone else and tell them to drive away in the opposite direction from us." Song Benlang walked out of the bar and came back after a short while saying, "Let's go now. Split up. I've given the frequency to our higher-ups. So as long as Big Beard follows the gold, there will be someone to deal with him." "Then where do we rendezvous?" Bobby asked. "Nanji 123 Hotel," Song Benlang said, and left. He didn't walk out far, but dashed into a nearby supermarket and watched the bar from the glass door it had. The second to come out was Bobby. He called a taxi and headed towards the hotel. Then Sophia came out and stopped a car. The car made a turn and left in the opposite direction. Not long after, Cassie came out. He looked around and also stopped a car, but he went the same direction as Sophia. Then Song Benlang came out. He knew he had achieved his purpose. It was a fact that the thing had been lost, and even though he was sure it wasn't Sophia's or Cassie's doing, someone had to be the scapegoat. If Cassie and Sophia ran away by themselves, things would be much easier, and he was sure they would run away. Not everyone would be able to take the torture. Sometimes people would rather die than endure it. Sophia and Cassie were substitutes, so if they had questionable loyalty, it would have nothing to do with him. He had finished his part of the mission and given the thing to Sophia. If it wasn't due to her fault, they would have succeeded. Song Benlang went back to the bar. He knew that no matter what, that place was safe. He wasn't in a rush to meet up with Bobby either, as he still had some things to do. He needed to give Sophia and Cassie some time to run. He had to make sure they left Chijo Island, so that he could report their tracks to the higher-ups. He would say that they had been sent out individually under his authority because he trusted them, but they ran away halfway. Like that, he would have no responsibility. But as soon as Song Benlang came to his room, he saw a big bearded man sitting there. He subconsciously shivered before hearing him say, "You're very smart. Your plan would indeed push away all responsibility from you." Chapter 633. Scam. Chapter 633. Scam. How can you be here? Song Benlang reacted very fast, but he knew he was done for no matter what. Without hesitating, Song Benlang was about to bite his teeth, but before he could, he was slapped in the face. The poison along with a few bloody teeth fell out. "Is your organization full of rats? Why do you like eating rat poison so much?" "Huh? If I didn't know you guys had this strange fetish, I would have been screwed again," Yemo sneered. Although he could save Song Benlang with a Lotus Life pill, he wouldn't want to waste one on trash like him. "Don't think you can get anything out of me." Song Benlang's Chinese wasn't as fluent as Sophia's. Yemo sneered. "Tell me this. What is the relationship between the Black Sun Empire and Northern Sand?" Hearing this, Song Benlang's face changed, and he subconsciously wanted to bite his teeth again, but then he remembered the poison was already on the floor. Yemo wasn't interested in waiting for him to reply. He just patted Song Benlang on the forehead. Song Benlang wasn't even yellow level, so it was very easy to make him talk. Half an hour later, Yemo left the bar and took Song Benlang's communication device and GPS. As for Song Benlang, he was dead. Yemo wasn't interested in chasing after small fry like Sophia or Cassie. He wanted to find out who the Black Sun Empire would have sent to deal with him. Also, even Song Benlang didn't really know whether the two organizations were related, but Yemo felt that they probably were. He just had no evidence yet. What made Yemo feel regretful was that Song Benlang and company were all just agents doing missions in the outside world. They didn't know where the HQ of the Black Sun Empire was either. They only knew that they would gather in a certain Japanese hotel when HQ summoned them. The location also varied. It seemed like Yemo would need to catch some big fish to find out where their HQ was. Yemo guessed that after he cleared Black Star Island, the Black Sun Empire must have become much more wary of him. Messages kept coming into Song Benlang's communicator, but Yemo was made to realize that he couldn't understand them. So he just ignored all of them and headed to the location Song Benlang had been luring him to. When he found that his spirit sense could no longer lock onto the target, he took out Song Benlang's GPS and located a barren beach. On the beach, there was a body long since dead, and Yemo knew it was the body of the man Song Benlang had hired to deliver the gold. The wrapped gold was no longer in his hand. There was only a signal emitter, and nothing else. There was no one around, so Yemo scanned the area and came to the conclusion that his opponent must have found out that Song Benlang was killed by Yemo. Without enough confidence to face him, he left. He probably took the gold Yemo had marked with his spirit sense for research. Yemo wasn't all too disappointed. He got what he came for anyway. He knew that even if that person hadn't retreated, he would have just been able to kill one extra person. Yemo left the beach and headed to find Shen Qianqian. He would ask her if she wanted to go to Luoyu. When Yemo found her, he found her outside a store in the middle of an argument with someone. The veil usually covering her face was gone, and she looked very angry. "What's going on?" Yemo squeezed over and asked. Shen Qianqian saw Yemo come over and quickly went to his side. "These people are really shameless. I know this store, and it's very reputable for never having sold fakes no matter where. Yet, after 2 women bought something here, they said it was fake and requested a refund. When the police came, They completely listened to their story and helped the two women take the store owner away, and even asked the store to close down immediately. The store also had to pay the two women back 10 times over. Yemo just realized that they were in front of Luo Yu's store. If it was someone else's business, he wouldn't be able to be sure that they weren't selling fake products, but his business definitely wouldn't. "Where's the store owner?" Yemo asked. "Here I am." A youth with a slap mark on his face walked over. There was anger clearly visible in his eyes. Yemo looked at him and said, "Who hit you?" "That woman's husband. That woman framed us, saying we were selling fake beauty pills. Even though when they bought it, I told them to check it on the spot, but they said that they trust our store, so they don't want to. Then, after taking the pills away, they came back and framed us for selling fakes." The youth explained. Yemo nodded. "In that case, shouldn't you slap them back?" "Huh?" The youth looked at the man next to the two women with hesitance. "That guy looked way too buff. If you don't want to hit them back, then never mind. But you'll have been hit for nothing." Yemo wouldn't fire this person, but he really didn't like overly timid people. Hearing this, the store owner manned up and charged over, slapping the offender. Although the store owner was pretty fast, the man was still able to react, but as soon as he did, he found that he wasn't able to move. Slap. Slap. Seeing the event, the two policemen were about to come over to arrest the store owner. But then Yemo stepped up and said, "This is a store of Luo Yu. If you dare arrest its store owner before being certain that he was the one in the wrong, you will be challenging Luo Yu. If you do, then don't blame Luo Yu for retaliating." They immediately stopped their steps. If this matter was blown up to challenging Luo Yu, they wouldn't dare take the blame. When Luo Yu was attacked by the U.S. and its alliance, they ended up paying large ransoms to Luo Yu. They had heard that the city lord of Luo Yu was very protective too, so if they got Luo Yu annoyed, that wouldn't be a joke. The people around saw the whole thing and started rumbling, especially those two women. As though feeling that he shouldn't be threatened like that, one police officer said, "No matter what, it's wrong to hit people. We need to take him away." The store owner heard this and said in Korean, "When he hit me first, why didn't you take him away?" Yemo saw that the two policemen were speechless and sneered. "Someone came to make fraudulent claims, yet you police instead take away the innocent and ask Luo Yu for compensation? What logic is this? I'll tell you right now that if you don't compensate Luo Yu before night falls and report whatever TV channel may be responsible for this, Luo Yu will leave South Korea. South Korea will no longer be a friendly nation of Luo Yu." Hearing this, the people around laughed. Who did this big beard think he was? The city lord of Luo Yu? The police felt that they looked bad being threatened by Yemo, so they were going to take the store owner away. But before they did, Yemo told the store owner, asked the two women why they took fake medicine to frame Luo Yu. The store owner wasn't able to react, but Shun Chanchan was also there. She didn't know why Yemo wanted to ask that, but she still spoke in fluent Korean. "You obviously bought the real beauty pill. So why are you using fakes to frame the store?" Many people laughed at the idiotic question. Who would admit to that? Chapter 634. Is Luo Yu easy to mess with? Chapter 634. Is Luo Yu easy to mess with? But what truly shocked everyone was the two women's reply. One woman said, "It's because someone gave us 50 million won and told us to buy a box of pills here, and then switch the pills with the fake ones they gave us. We did not only get the 50 million won in exchange, but also the beauty pills." "Yes, that's the case," the other woman said. Right after they said this, though, the women recovered and thought it incredible that they had admitted that. They quickly covered their mouths, but it was too late. "Are you crazy? How can you admit to that?" the man yelled. They really admitted it. People looked at them like they were idiots. These three idiots just said this shop sold fake medicine, yet immediately afterwards they admitted that they were lying. Only Shin Chanchan knew that it had something to do with Yemo, and she wondered, what can Yemo do? The two policemen could no longer take the store owner away and could only take away the three who caused trouble. Humph, we won't leave it at that, the store owner said. Mo frowned. He found the whole thing very odd. Which idiot would do something like this? How would it benefit them? Shin Qianqian also felt like it was abnormal. She looked at Mo and said, Mo, I didn't know you were so patriotic. I know, Luo, you came from China, but why do I feel like there's more to it? Mo ignored the store owner and pulled Shin Qianqian into a meeting room and then said, I'm just looking after my own stuff. I am from Luo Yu, look. Then he took out a proof of identity as Luo Yu's head engineer. He didn't take out the presidential badge. Ha, you're really from Luo Yu? Shin Qianqian asked in shock. But soon she thought, no wonder Mo could take out a face-preserving pill. Mo took out his phone to charge it and then said to Shin Qianqian, if you don't want to stay in Jin City, why don't you come to Luo Yu? I'm sure that with your capabilities you could get your hands on the head of commerce position. Shin Qianqian stared at Mo with her big eyes and pointed at him after a while. So you're a higher-up of Luo Yu. You said you came to find me before. It must have all been a plot. You want me to work for you, right? Mo approved of her brains. She had already connected the dots. He smiled bitterly. Yes, when I saw that you weren't living well in the Shin family, I wanted to convince you to go to Luo Yu. Of course, it's fine if you don't want to. Shin Qianqian suddenly got up excitedly and grabbed Mo's hand, who said, I don't want to go. I want to go very much. Please help me. I must go. You really are my lucky charm. You gave me the face-preserving pill. And now, you will help me find work in Luo Yu. I'm too happy. Shin Qianqian was very happy indeed. She had long since planned to go to Luo Yu, but didn't have a way. So now that Mo gave her the opportunity, how could she reject? Okay, don't be so hasty. Mo unlocked his phone and was preparing to call Su Yuehua, but as soon as he opened his phone, he received a call. Second brother, what's up? It was Su Ping. He rarely called, so Mo cared about him calling. Seeing that the call had gone through, Su Ping immediately said, Third brother, if we still hadn't reached you, I would have had to declare war on Indonesia. Mo smiled. Second brother, stop joking. Now is different to before. We can't just casually start wars. We're not strong to the point where we can fight whomever we want. We need a reason to fight dash. Before Su Ping said anything, Su Yuehua took the phone. President, it's me, Yuehua. What's up, Sister Yuehua? Mo felt that things didn't seem right. Su Yuehua was rather calm as she said slowly, over the last 2 days, our outlets in different countries have been experiencing some problems. The stores of more than 10 different countries have reported that people were framing us, claiming that we were selling fakes. A few of them have even been knocked down. Mo's eyes went cold. Things weren't as simple as it looked at first glance indeed. There was obviously someone behind this. Those who didn't know the truth would think that there really was a problem with Luo Yu. What's the exact situation? Mo asked again. Su Yuehua replied. 3 stores were cracked down in 3 countries where the workers weren't hurt, but in Indonesia, 6 people died. We've closed the store there, and the personnel has come back. Brother Su is in favor of attacking Indonesia. Although I'm also very angry, I don't believe it very suitable to declare war for just that. Mo sneered. He knew there were parties that didn't want Luo Yu to develop too rapidly. These means would be effective against other countries, but not against Luo Yu. Thus Mo said, Sister Yuehua, concerning the countries that didn't deal with the situation in our benefit, immediately take all of the products we sell there out of circulation and shut down all military and commercial relations with those countries. At the same time, if they have any businesses in Luo Yu, shut those down too until they realize their mistake and pay us enough compensation. Okay, Su Yuehua agreed without hesitating. Luo Yu never had to feel troubled about marketing. When Luo Yu pulled out from a country, the one that should be worrying was that country, and not Luo Yu. And Su Yuehua knew that halting military and commercial relations meant that those countries wouldn't be getting their interference machines, even if they had paid for it already. What about Indonesia? Su Yuehua knew that Yemo wouldn't let that country go easily. Although Luo Yu had almost 300,000 immigrants, it was still far from well populated, and the citizens didn't have enough solidarity. Thus, Su Yuehua didn't want to solve things through military means. As for Indonesia, Yemo's tone went cold. Halt all of our businesses there and kick their businesses out of Luo Yu. At the same time, stop all relations with them and ask them to compensate 70 billion Luo Yu dollars. Su Yuehua took a deep breath. The Luo Yu dollar had about the same worth as the euro. This was 90 billion US dollars. Su Yuehua was sure that Indonesia wouldn't pay that. I don't think they will compensate that, Su Yuehua said worriedly. Yemo sneered. Of course I know they won't. Make a global announcement that when Luo Yu was in the beginning of its development, Indonesia conspired with pirates to attack Luo Yu. We have evidence, and many people who are still in captivity will show their faces on TV. Say that Luo Yu had been trying to keep harmony with Indonesia, didn't take things personally, and even sold them some technology. Yet this is how they repay us. They trashed our stores and killed our employees. Yet their government not only refuses to punish the criminals, but instead it points the blame at Luo Yu. And under such circumstances, Luo Yu still chooses to resolve things peacefully and only asks for compensation. Su Yuehua understood where Yemo was going, and she immediately asked, what about the union? We'll report our losses to them and tell them that our $20 billion research project was destroyed in Indonesia, Yemo said. Of course, everything we do needs to be reported to the world. Also, I do want you to say that if Indonesia does not respond within a week, Luo, you might use military means to resolve the issue. Yemo's tone was very cold. What? Su Yuehua's hands shook, and her phone almost fell. What? Shen Qianqian was dumbfounded. Chapter 635, Behind the Scenes. Chapter 635. Behind the scenes, Yemo dared declare war without looking for allies first, just because Luo Yu's store was smashed and a few people died. Although Su Yuehua was the one in charge of Luo Yu now, since Yemo had spoken, she wouldn't disagree. Shen Qianqian was also dazed. When Yemo put down the phone, she asked, Yemo, were you talking to the city, Lord of Luo Yu, Su Yuehua? And you wish to declare war on Indonesia? Who are you? Yemo put down the phone and smiled. Many people have asked me this, but you can find that out when you get to Luo Yu. All I will say is that even though Sister Yuehua thinks that I'm not suited for politics, the truth is that it's not that I don't know how to deal with politics, but that I can't be bothered to. Now, if you still want to go, I will give you a number to call. Yes, of course I want to go, Shen Qianqian replied without hesitation. No matter who Yemo was, it was her dream to go to Luo Yu. Yemo looked at the store owner. Do you have a recording of the two women admitting to their scam? The store owner seemed to have realized that Yemo wasn't ordinary and immediately said, yes, there's a video recording. Okay, send that video recording to our official website. You might be able to get promoted thanks to it. Yemo smiled. The store owner immediately realized that it was a good opportunity. If he was the one to provide evidence of the scam, his higher-ups would promote him for sure. He respectfully sent Yemo and Shen Qianqian away before dealing with the recording. Before Yemo left Chizhou Island, Luo Yu once again caught the attention of the world. Luo Yu Pharmaceuticals had been accused of selling fakes in many different stores. In some countries, the stores were even robbed and smashed, and most Western countries sued Luo Yu. Indonesia's store was the most absurd case. Not only did some people demolish the whole store, but multiple employees were even killed. The Indonesian government had then actually voiced their support to the culprits and asked Luo Yu to compensate those people Those who didn't know better thought that something had really happened to Luo Yu, but those with a clear mind knew that it was probably a new plan targeting Luo Yu. Many people thought that Luo Yu's sales would start plummeting, yet after one day of negotiation, Luo Yu made a strong statement. The statement declared that the accounts of fake medicine were fraudulent and a case of them being framed. Luo Yu's base promise was that Luo Yu would never sell fake products. Luo Yu stated that they would halt all collaboration with those countries that had treated Luo Yu unfairly. As for Indonesia, because Luo Yu was a peace-loving country, they only requested Indonesia to compensate 70 billion Luo dollars and hand over the culprits in order to avoid war. If Luo Yu did not receive this, as well as an apology within 1 week, they would declare war. The day Luo Yu made this claim, Luo Yu's official website uploaded a clip of 2 women admitting their claims had been fraudulent. Although people didn't know why the 2 women would admit to everything, there were a lot of witnesses in the video, so it was soon confirmed that the video was not fake. After Luo Yu pulled out of their cooperation with some countries, those countries began to worry. They didn't think such small matters would be taken so seriously. Thinking about how their military deals had gone to waste due to some minor issues, those countries became desperate. Representatives quickly started to fly to Luo Yu to ask for peace and a resolution. The Korean government was all the more annoyed due to 2 women's greed, the interference machine they had been about to get, and their collaboration with Luo Yu was gone with the wind. How could they deal with this? The world was getting more and more unsettled. And if some other country with interference machines went to war, but you didn't have any, like the Korean army now, you would be crippled. At the same day Luo Yu made the announcement, the 2 policemen were taken away, and the South Korean government did the best they could to help catch the mastermind in order to get Luo Yu's forgiveness and continued cooperation. After these events, Yi Mo felt like all those cases didn't seem to have a direct connection to many countries. Unless they were idiots, those countries wouldn't do that. It didn't benefit them in any way, and instead only caused trouble with Luo Yu. Even if the countries did want to do something like it, they should wait until they got the interference machines. Yi Mo could tell that there might be a third party involved, but he wasn't going to change his plan. If Yi Mo could have such considerations, so could other people. The incidents had all occurred in countries that had signed a contract for the interference machines. After thinking it through, people immediately guessed there had to have been a third party involved which wanted to jeopardize the relations of Luo Yu and those countries. Decreasing Luo Yu's sales might have been one target, but stopping the military cooperation of Luo Yu with those countries must have been the main goal. Those countries also soon understood the situation and knew that they had to find Luo Yu to resolve the matter. In order to do that, they had to investigate the fraudulent claims. As for Luo Yu's statement about Indonesia, that didn't concern them. So what if they fought? Perhaps thanks to this war, they would find out about Luo Yu's offensive capabilities. Luo Yu's war with the U.S. had only proved that their defense was unparalleled. The U.S. felt most wronged about the whole thing, and the new U.S. president quickly held a meeting. The U.S. knew that many people would suspect them to have been the mastermind because the U.S. would definitely like it if Luo Yu got on the bad side of so many other countries, but God knew that they had nothing to do with it. Chapter 636. Invited again. Chapter 636. Invited again, other countries could still compensate Luo Yu and somehow recover their relations, but there was one country that couldn't. Its inhabitants had overdone it and had killed Luo Yu employees, all backed up by the government. When Luo Yu made its domineering statement, and as all other countries were trying desperately to repair their relations with Luo Yu, at least until they got their interference machines, the Indonesian government fully came to realize that they had done a stupid thing. Military specialist Malone had already pointed out that Luo Yu's electrical warfare had surpassed the current age. Would Indonesia be able to take on such a beast? Not to mention That beast was quite close to them. And then, when the US didn't say anything, and the Union just said something neutral, Indonesia fell into despair. If Luoyu's demanded compensation wasn't so high, they would have paid it already, but that was 90 billion US dollars they were asking. That was 1/8 of their GDP. If they paid that, the country's economy would immediately decline. But if they didn't pay up, Luoyu would show that they weren't easy to mess with. Indonesia was so desperate that they even felt like hating South Korea. If that video from South Korea hadn't been exposed, the whole thing would have been really hard to prove. But because that video got exposed, Luoyu was able to be the victim. Yemo came to Jin City with Shun Qianqian. Shun Qianqian immediately went back to the Shun family. Although she had lost all of her power, she still had to make some arrangements before she left. Yemo went to the Kong High Hospital and met Su Wei and her family as they were about to leave the hospital. The entire family was very happy to see Yemo. It was thanks to him that Su Wei's mom had recovered. Although Su Wei said she had plenty of money, Su Wei's mother didn't want to keep staying in the hospital. Brother Yi, CEO Hu, and CEO Luo both came in the morning. By the way, last night Shen Yin also came, but didn't find you. Su Wei hadn't been able to reach Yi Mo's number. Now that Yi Mo had come, she wanted to treat him to food, as thanks for helping her. Yi Mo nodded. Are you planning on staying in Jin City? Or going elsewhere? If you don't have a place to go, I can introduce you to Luoyu. Su Wei didn't doubt Yi Mo's words, but she shook her head. Brother Yi, I've discussed it with my brother, and we're planning on going back to our home place to develop. Shin helped Xiao Wu get an internship. He doesn't need to study anymore. Although it was regretful that Su Wei didn't want to go to Luoyu, Yi Mo wouldn't force her. Also, since he knew that she wouldn't feel comfortable if she didn't invite him to food, he let himself get treated. The restaurant was high class, but Su Wei was somehow being quiet. Su Bingwu seemed to know what his sister was thinking and just kept eating without saying anything either. Only Mother Su kept looking between Yi Mo and Su Wei, but she didn't say anything either. Yi Mo felt like the meal was quite awkward. Although he wanted to say something, he didn't know how to open the conversation either. After the meal, they left the restaurant. Su Wei seemed to want to say something to Yi Mo, but she hesitated many times, and eventually didn't say it. She just said goodbye to Yi Mo. Seeing the three leave, Yi Mo knew that that goodbye meant that they might never see each other again. Su Wei was a good girl, so he wished her family good fortune. His phone rumbled, and Yi Mo picked up the call. It was Han Zixin. You finally turn on your phone. It's so much pressure trying to call your phone every single time. Han Zixin heard Yi Mo's voice and felt relieved, but he quickly added, Don't hang up on me this time. He knew that Han Zixin wanted him to help with the Space Flower blueprint, but that already belonged to Yi Mo. Also, even if he got Han Zixin the blueprint, they wouldn't be able to make it. And even if they did, they wouldn't have the energy source needed for it, because it needed the extreme energy stone. Yi Mo, just come to Beijing once. I have something you want here. Besides, you're the instructor of flying snow. It's been so long already, yet you still haven't come to visit. I just got a large batch of high-quality ores. Don't you want to see? Han Zixin was like a big bad wolf trying to lure a small innocent rabbit. Yi Mo knew that Han Zixin must have encountered some problem. Usually he wouldn't use such means to get him to come over there. But Yi Mo was really enticed by those ores. However, Yi Mo hadn't even had the time to find the snow fox because he had been so busy, much less some ores. If it wasn't for the 5-element rock being truly precious, Yi Mo wouldn't have gone out of his way to go looking for it either. If it wasn't for that, perhaps he would have been in the Duan Hung Ranges already, searching for that old nun and the 7-star formation. He also wanted to go into the small world to find resources. Although he really wanted the ores, he still decided to go meet with Luo Ing at Ning Hai first. He was afraid Luo Ing wouldn't like Ning Hai. Luo Ing liked quiet places, while Ninghai was like a busy market. Okay, in that case, I'll be there in 1 day. Hearing this, Han Zixin immediately hung up the phone. He was afraid Yi Mo would change his mind. He knew Yi Mo's character. If he'd agreed, he would do it. Luo Ying didn't have a phone. So, in order to contact her, Yi Mo needed to contact Bei Wei, but her phone was turned off. Hence, Yi Mo immediately called Su Jingwen, and luckily, she picked up. Yi Mo, you finally remembered to call me. Su Jingwen sounded quite sour. Yi Mo patted the back of his head, awkwardly. He had this strange feeling towards Su Jingwen that he couldn't really describe. He really wanted to ask about Luo Ying and Bei Wei, but it wasn't good to do so right after the call connected. Are you calling because of Luo Ying? Su Jingwen was the first to speak after some silence. After Su Jingwen spoke, though, Yi Mo heard Tang Bei Wei's voice too. Why was her phone turned off when she was at home? Chapter 637. What about a third one? Chapter 637. What about a third one? Yeah, how is Luo Ying? Is she there? Yi Mo could only ask. Su Jingwen suddenly laughed. Don't worry, she's more than fine. But be honest with me, have you told Luo Ying about Qingxue? Yi Mo, I really admire how you were able to find both Luo Ying and Qingxue at the same time. Both of them are very hard to find women. Yi Mo coughed. If it wasn't that he hadn't properly heard how Luo Ying was yet, he would pretend he didn't hear anything and hang up the phone. Now that Su Jingwen asked, he chose to say, You're very pretty too. Don't just talk about them all the time. Su Jingwen fell into silence after hearing that, and after a while, she suddenly asked, Yi Mo, do you mean that I'm the same as them? Yi Mo's EQ wasn't that low, and he could immediately tell what Su Jingwen meant. Yi Mo didn't know how to explain himself, but Su Jingwen suddenly spoke again. Luo Ying was worried about you, so she went to find you in Jin City. Bei Wei's phone is on her right now. She should be coming out of Jin City Airport in about half an hour. Really? Okay, then I'll go pick her up now. Yi Mo felt lucky he had called, or he would have missed Luo Ying. Yi Mo felt that he was neglecting Su Jingwen, so he quickly asked, Jingwen, how are you guys in doing Ninghai anyway? I'll be going back to Ninghai soon, and when I do you want to come with me to Luoyu? I'm not anyone to you. Why would I go to Luoyu? Su Jingwen's tone was a bit salty. Yi Mo really wanted to hang up and see Luo Ying, but he didn't want Su Jingwen to feel bad. Suddenly, Su Jingwen laughed. Go see your wife already. With her being that pretty, there must be a lot of wolves staring at her. But Yi Mo, you're married to two people at the same time. Hearing this, Yi Mo breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. It's lucky that I'm in Luoyu. We haven't announced marital laws yet. It should be fine to marry 2 wives. I'll make the marital law before our wedding. Hee. Then what about 3? Su Jingwen suddenly asked. Yi Mo was dazed. What did that mean? But the call was quickly hung up. Yi Mo shook his head and cast his thoughts aside. He had good feelings towards Su Jingwen, but that didn't mean he had to marry her. He already had Luo Ying and Qingxue, and he was very content. If Ning Qingxue hadn't appeared, he would have only married Luo Ying. Even Ning Qingxue. He accepted her only after she risked her life for him, and when he didn't know if Luo Ying was even on the planet. If he had, the results might have been different. When Luo Ying was prepared to board the plane, a figure suddenly dashed past her. Although his face flashed by her really quickly, she was sure it had been Yi Mo. That figure passed through the security checks rapidly and went into the tunnel that led to a flight to Beijing. Yi Mo, Luo Ying called out. That figure seemed to hesitate for a moment and looked around, but still left quickly. Luo Ying called out again. but the person ahead didn't seem to be able to hear her anymore. She chased over immediately, but was stopped by two airport staff members. "I'm sorry, I saw someone familiar, and I want to go say hi." Luo Ying felt like that face had looked like Yi Mo's, but there was something strange about it. She didn't feel that sense of intimacy, but since she saw it, she had to go confirm whether that person was Yi Mo. "Sorry, the passage you're taking is the other one. This one is to Beijing, so we can't let you pass." Luo Ying said desperately, "I just have to ask something. It will take at most 2 minutes." The staff members still shook their heads and didn't let Luo Ying pass. Perhaps because she was too beautiful, one of them said helplessly, "You can only go there if you buy a ticket to Beijing. The next flight to Beijing will fly off in 20 minutes. Luo Ying didn't think much. She just wanted to see if that person was Yi Mo. She immediately dashed to the ticket sales window and wanted to buy a ticket to Beijing. "Sorry, the tickets to Beijing have sold out for today, and the plane is about to take off. The next flight is tomorrow at noon," the staff said. Luo Ying turned around in disappointment. If Yi Mo was really going to Beijing, what was she going to Jean City for? At that moment, a middle-aged woman ran to the window with a ticket. "I'm sorry, but I can't go to Beijing today. I want to refund this ticket." "Oh, that's perfect. There's someone right there who wants a ticket to Beijing. You can give it to her." The staff stopped Luo Ying and helped the two perform the necessary procedures. A few minutes later, Luo Ying had a ticket to Beijing. She didn't expect to be so lucky. Luo Ying got on the plane as quickly as she could to find the man who looked like Yi Mo. If it wasn't Yi Mo, she would get off immediately. Right when she got on the plane, she saw that the person she was looking for was going into the bathroom. After Luo Ying's tension faded and she calmed down, she felt like things weren't right. It wasn't her first time taking a plane. Usually, people weren't allowed to go into the toilet when the plane was about to take flight, and that ticket refund had happened too coincidentally. The main thing was when Yi Mo came to Ninghai, he would contact her as soon as he could. Even if he couldn't come see her, he would definitely call her. Thinking like that, Luo Ying wanted to get off immediately. She lacked experience, but that didn't mean she was dumb. It was just that she missed Yi Mo too much. "Hello, please fasten your seatbelt and sit down. The plane is about to take off." A flight attendant came up to Luo Ying and asked politely. Luo Ying wanted to say something, but when she felt the plane rumble, she knew it was useless to say anything now. The plane was taking off. Luo Ying was sure that these coincidences were a trap. That person definitely wasn't Yi Mo. The intimacy she felt from Yi Mo wasn't something the imitation of a face could give. Why were these people doing this? Other than her beauty being a bit special, only Yi Mo could be the reason for her being trapped. It was most likely that, because otherwise they wouldn't send someone who looked like Yi Mo to catch her attention. Luo Ying actually calmed down when she realized that. She knew that those people probably wanted to capture her to threaten Yi Mo or get something from him. She wouldn't let them get what they wanted. Luo Ying was a bit dazed, though. If those people had targeted her, wouldn't that mean Bei Wei might be targeted too? She was fine because she still had that powerful gun Yi Mo gave her. But what about Bei Wei? Thinking about this, she wanted to call Bei Wei, but there was no more signal. Ninghai, in that small house, Su Jingwen was looking down and fiddling with some flowers, but Tang Bei Wei could tell that she was feeling bad. Tang Bei Wei didn't know how to comfort her. "Hey, Bei Wei, you said your brother hasn't been with Luo Ying for as long as I have been with him, right? Am I too dumb or too ugly?" Su Jingwen looked up at Tang Bei Wei and asked. Tang Bei Wei looked dazedly at Su Jingwen and didn't know what to say. Chapter 638. Like and Love. Chapter 638. Like and love Sister Jingwen. I don't know why my brother is so nice to Sister Luo Ying, but I do know that if my brother had met Sister Luo Ying before Sister Qingxue, then he might not see Sister Qingxue any different from you. I feel as though they're like dash. Tang Beiwei hesitated for a long time before saying, it's as though they were married in their past life. Perhaps if you were to start cultivating, you would get that indescribable feeling. Cultivating? Beiwei, what is cultivation? Is it the meditation stuff you do every day? Su Jingwen suddenly asked. Tang Beiwei knew she shouldn't be telling her, but in her heart Sister Jingwen had the same position as Sister Qingxue. She nodded. Yes, my brother taught me cultivation. He explained it very mystically and told me not to tell anyone, but Sister Jingwen, I don't see you as an outsider, so I told you. Su Jingwen looked down and didn't ask anything else. Yi Mo had taught Tang Beiwei and Ning Qingxue, and Luo Ying definitely as well, but he hadn't taught her. From that, you could tell she wasn't as close to Yi Mo. Now that she thought about it, Yi Mo was probably that powerful because of cultivation. Su Jingwen clearly felt that Tang Beiwei also had that certain ethereal temperament, just like Yi Mo. It felt mysterious, intimate, and had an out-of-this-world feeling. Sensing that Su Jingwen felt bad, Tang Beiwei said, Sister Jingwen, if you want to learn it, I can teach you. My brother won't mind. Su Jingwen shook her head. No need, I don't want to learn it. Since Yi Mo didn't teach it to her, it would only make her feel bad if Beiwei taught her. There was a long silence. After a while, Tang Beiwei suddenly said, Sister Jingwen, can I ask you a question? Su Jingwen nodded with red eyes. If you liked my brother, and my brother liked you, but then one day when you were about to get married, you realized that you were my brother's long-lost sister, what would you do? Tang Beiwei's eyes were also a bit red, and she didn't even really know why she was asking that. Huh? How could that be? Both my parents are still alive. How could they be your brother's dash? Su Jingwen thought that Tang Beiwei's question was a little crazy. Tang Beiwei shook her head and said, Nothing in this world is impossible. When I met my brother, I didn't know he was my brother. Beiwei, you... Su Jingwen looked at Tang Beiwei in shock. Tang Beiwei shook her head. It's not like that. My brother will always be my brother. I'm just asking, what if? Nothing else. Su Jingwen understood what Tang Beiwei meant and shook her head. If that really is the case, then you can't get married. Tang Beiwei sighed and didn't say anything. She remembered what Luo Ying told her last night. I know his poison is supposed to be incurable, but I love him. I have the feeling that we've known each other for a very long time. I believe we were like husband and wife already, albeit a very long time ago. So, I just want to be able to be married to him when we leave this world. As for whether I am blood related to him in this world or not, does it matter? If he lives, I'll stay with him, and if he dies, I'll accompany him too. It was just as Luo Ying said. In this world, there was such a thing as the subtle existence of fate. Sister Jingwen liked her brother as well, or maybe what she felt was more admiration. Her brother was too outstanding compared to the other people around her. After all, however, her like was different from the like of Sister Luo Ying. Sister Luo Ying's like for her brother was the indescribably fated love. It was something that exceeded liking, and perhaps only that could be called love. If her brother was still wasted like before, and if he was still ordinary, perhaps Sister Jingwen would still help him out, but she wouldn't like him. Sister Qingxue would maybe sympathize with brother, but she wouldn't like him either, much less love him. But Sister Luo Ying was different. As long as Sister Luo Ying had that belief that her brother was the one, then no matter what her brother was like, she would still love him without regret. Seeing Tang Beiwei sigh without saying anything, Su Jingwen seemed to have understood something. She suddenly looked up and smiled. Beiwei, I feel a lot more relieved after talking to you. By the way, I'll be leaving Ninghai, so wish me well. Tang Beiwei was dazed for a moment, but immediately asked, Sister Jingwen, Didn't you say yesterday that you would join us to Qingdao Beach in a few days? Also, what about your company? Su Jingwen nodded. Yes, Bei Wei. I suddenly feel like I've been very dumb, so I want to take care of my own dreams and wants for a while. My mom can take care of the company. Seeing that Tang Beiwei still wanted to ask her some more questions, Su Jingwen suddenly waved her hand and said, Don't ask me what I will be doing. I just want to go out and be content. Perhaps I will join politics. Why are you suddenly doing this? Tang Beiwei knew that Su Jingwen felt bad, but she had gotten used to living with Su Jingwen. A few days ago at my grandpa's birthday, I went to Beijing, and my grandpa said he thinks I have a talent for politics. I don't like that sort of stuff, as I dislike the hypocrisy of it. So I just said maybe then I might still not go, but Su Jingwen said casually. Tang Beiwei fell silent. She knew that since Su Jingwen had said that, it meant that she wouldn't be coming back. If she stayed in Ninghai, she wouldn't be able to stop herself from coming to the house, and if she did, she would be forced to think about Yemo. Perhaps it would be good for her. Tang Beiwei took out a stack of fireball charms and gave them to Su Jingwen. Su Jingwen knew that Yemo must have given them to his sister so that she could protect herself, but before Su Jingwen could reject, Tang Beiwei took out another large pile and said, Sister Jingwen, you need something to protect yourself. I still have a lot here. Su Jingwen nodded and took them. Then she left. She didn't even really say goodbye. Tang Beiwei looked at Su Jingwen as she left and suddenly felt very lonely. Even a long while after Su Jingwen left, Tang Beiwei was still sitting dejectedly in the house. She didn't know what to do. After a while, she remembered to go lock up the door. When she just locked the door and came back in, there was a knock on the door. Suddenly, she had a bad feeling. Who would come looking for her? Sister Jingwen and Yunbing had the keys. They wouldn't knock. And other than them, she didn't know anyone in Ninghai. Chapter 639. He's too eerie. Chapter 639. He's too eerie. Yemo had arrived at the airport and was squeezing to the front as quickly as he could. As the passengers got off, Yemo felt more and more uneasy. He didn't see Luo Ying, and he trusted that Jingwen wouldn't lie to him. Yemo no longer had the mood to wait, so he went inside in invisibility mode. When he scanned the area with his spirit sense, he didn't find Luo Ying. Luo Ying had never taken the plane. He didn't call back to Su Jingwen because if Luo Ying went back, she would notify him right away. Thinking like that, he immediately went to the largest office around. In there, a fat guy was rabidly kissing a woman in professional clothes. Yemo's sudden appearance scared him almost into impotence. Without thinking, he pushed the woman away. When he saw it was just some big bearded dude, his face went cold, and he said, "Who are you? Who let you come here?" Yemo pointed his bulletless gun at the man's head and said, "Search as fast as you can why someone called Luo Ying didn't get on the plane from Ninghai to Jing City. Don't shoot. I'll look immediately." The fat man saw the gun and immediately pissed himself. "Hurry up." Yemo saw the man's shaky hands and yelled impatiently, "Yes, yes." Although he was very nervous, he worked very fast. The woman also didn't dare move from the couch at the sight of a gun. The person called Luo Ying didn't get on the plane. She didn't refund the ticket in Ninghai either. The fat man truly was rather efficient. Yemo said coldly, "Call Ninghai to check if she went on another plane." "Yes, I will." The fat man wasn't that shaky anymore. A few minutes later, he wiped his forehead and said, "Luo Ying bought a last-minute ticket to Beijing. She should be almost in Beiji Dash." Before the fat man finished, he saw that the big bearded man had disappeared. He rubbed his eyes. Was he hallucinating just then? But soon he just breathed a sigh of relief and made up his mind to lock the door next time. If this happened a few more times, he truly might remain impotent for life. Beijing Qinghong Airport. A plane from Ninghai had just landed. When Luo Ying walked out, her beauty caught everyone's eyes. All eyes stared at this magnificent lady, but Luo Ying was just pretending to look around. She didn't know if they had noticed that she had realized that their Yi Mo was fake, so she had to pretend and keep looking for him. At the same time, she started to call Yi Mo. She didn't know what they would do to her, but for some reason they hadn't attacked yet. Luo Ying hadn't even unlocked her phone, yet when a handsome man walked up to Luo Ying and took out a name card, "You're the most elegant girl I've ever seen, and I hope my sudden approach won't disturb you, but I'm Zhuo Mingxi from Lanya Corporation. I have studied in France, and now I'm the manager of the research department in Lanya Corporation. What's your name?" "Oh, please wait a second." Luo Ying didn't take the card and casually took out her phone instead. Usually, she would ignore someone like him, but she didn't know if the man was with that group of people or not. She needed to call Yi Mo, okay? Seeing that Luo Ying didn't reject him and just told him to wait, he felt very happy and waited on the side like a gentleman. He could swear he had never seen a girl as excellent as her in his life. There were a lot of girls chasing after him, and although many of them were pretty, they were like a speck of mortal dust compared to this girl. If he could get this girl's love in exchange, he would even be willing to give up his managerial position or being the successor of the Zhuo family. This girl was too pretty. She was a goddess. Luo Ying felt very strange. She was sure that those people were after her. How come they still hadn't done anything this long after she got off the plane? She had even hidden the pistol in her sleeves already. Luo Ying knew that her power was too low, and that even if only someone like Dai Heng came, she wouldn't be able to deal with it. But then she suddenly noticed a big bearded man. What made her focus on him wasn't the beard, but the eyes. Ever since the events in that village, she would never forget those eyes again. His eyes, and that feeling of intimacy he gave off, made her want to run to him instantaneously. Yi Mo and Luo Ying had the sudden feeling of wanting to cry. She had only separated with Yi Mo for a short while, but it felt like an eternity. The moment he saw Luo Ying, Yi Mo felt someone was watching him. Although he could check it out, he didn't, because that wasn't what mattered in that moment. As long as he saw Luo Ying, it was fine. No matter what was up, he had to embrace her first. At the same time, one man who was prepared to rob Luo Ying's phone, and his 3 teammates who were prepared to attack Luo Ying as she chased her phone, stopped their actions. They had received a message saying that they were to stop the plan and immediately retreat. They didn't know why they were ordered to stop when the plan was already 80% done, but they immediately did, as told nonetheless, and got out of the airport. Meanwhile, Luo Ying couldn't hold herself back anymore and quickly ran into Yi Mo's arms. "Susu, I'm here, and I know." Zhuo Mingxi looked on dumbly at the big beard hugging that goddess. He felt like his brain was lacking oxygen. Such a goddess was hugging this ugly bearded guy. This was planting a flower in cow dung. Everyone nearby also looked at this scene in a daze. They felt like their heart was going to shatter. After a long while, Zhuo Mingxi came to the conclusion that the goddess must have been tricked. As long as he confronted the big beard, she would know who to choose. Thinking like that, he took out his name card and walked up to Luo Ying and Yi Mo, saying, "I'm Zhuo Mingxi, Lanya Corporation's head of research." Yi Mo didn't want to talk to him, but hearing the corporation's name, he took the card and said, "Oh, I've heard of this company." Then he pulled Luo Ying's hand. "Let's go. Tell me everything later." Zhuo Mingxi was left standing there in a daze. Not too long after that, in a certain mansion in Beijing, a few people were sitting down together. The one who looked like Yi Mo on the plane had pulled off his mask and was making a call. "The plan has been aborted." "Yes, I did see the man. I'm sure now that that was Yi Mo. He's with Luo Ying." Yes, I am certain. They hugged each other as soon as they saw each other. The man's tone was very serious, but he was also shaky. Those who knew him knew that his hands wouldn't shake even when he killed multiple people, yet now his hands were actually shaking. No, I am sure that 1 hour before that he was still in Jean City, yet he appeared in Beijing's Jinghong airport. This should be impossible. Yet it happened. Everything was going very well according to the original plan, and I can say that if he hadn't appeared, we would have succeeded, and I wouldn't have had to order the stop. He is just too eerie. The man's hands were still shaking. Suddenly, the man's tone went high too. No, he didn't take the plane here. I am certain of that. Yes, I suspect that he has some small flying device, but I haven't seen it. Okay, what should we do next? You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.